Welcome to Night Science Tales. Tonight, we begin a calm journey, drifting slowly through the peaceful world of medicine. We will explore the quiet history of healing and the very soft ways our bodies find rest and restoration. This is not a heavy lesson or a complex lecture. These are gentle, sleepy stories, meant to ease your mind as you prepare for slumber. We will uncover little secrets about forgotten cures and the slow, steady ways that ancient wisdom met modern understanding. We'll whisper about the origins of soothing remedies and the tiny molecular miracles that happen while we sleep. So settle deeper into your pillows. Take a soft, slow breath and allow yourself to gently drift with the wonders of healing and the science of restoration. If these peaceful tales bring you comfort, please remember to like this video and subscribe to Night Science Tales so you can enjoy more gentle stories in the future. Point 1. Ancient physicians often relied on the quiet observation of sleep patterns to gauge the gentle progress of a patient's recovery. The physician sits in the deep stillness of the evening, watching the steady rise and fall of the sleeping chest, knowing that within this quiet rhythm resides the silent narrative of healing. The movement of the sleeper's breath is smooth and deep, an echo of the turning earth itself, a slow planetary rotation that guarantees the coming of the morning light. They watch the eyes beneath the lids, searching for the delicate, rapid oscillations that denote the deepest phase of restorative slumber, the time when the brain gently cleanses itself, discarding the clutter of the waking day, preparing the neurons for the clarity of tomorrow. This quietude holds more information than any spoken word, revealing the body's commitment to survival, its inherent tendency toward balance and equilibrium, a state known scientifically as homeostasis. The cycle of sleep follows the great solar clock, but the quality of the sleep belongs uniquely to the individual, reflecting the internal struggle or peace within the cellular landscape. If the patient rests deeply, sinking into the delta waves that smooth the edges of consciousness, then the physician understands that the body is dedicating its vital energy not to struggle, but to gentle reconstruction, weaving new cellular material and strengthening the delicate architecture of the physical form. Observing the quality of the dreams, often recounted in the soft light of dawn, offered glimpses into the subconscious workings, a map of anxieties released or conflicts resolved, confirming that the mind and body move together in this slow, beautiful dance toward wellness. This ancient practice reminds us that the best diagnosis often comes from simply slowing down, matching our pace to the gentle inevitability of natural restoration, trusting the quiet process unfolding beneath the surface of the skin, much like the slow growth of a root deep within the unmoving soil. Unseen, but endlessly productive. Point 2. The quiet hum of a research laboratory suggests the slow, deliberate pace of scientists searching for peaceful compounds in hushed settings. Within the precisely controlled air, shielded from the turbulence of the world outside, the molecules drift in solution, suspended in a silent, waiting state, preparing for their subtle chemical interaction. The compounds, often crystalline and pure, rest in tiny glass vials, each one holding a secret potential for quiet change, a key that might unlock a door to comfort. The soft electrical hum emanates from sophisticated machines that regulate temperature with meticulous patience, maintaining conditions exactly as required, mirroring the constant, silent energy flow of the universe, where gravity maintains order without sound. Light filters through the prepared liquids, revealing faint, almost imperceptible colors, hues of pale lavender or soft azure, indicative of electron orbits shifting ever so slightly as energy is absorbed and released, following the predictable, calming rules of quantum physics. Scientists move with a necessary slowness, their movements measured to avoid introducing even the smallest disturbance, for disruption might alter the delicate balance of the molecular conversation taking place in the liquid medium. Every drop is added with deliberation, a gentle titration where the concentration changes by infinitesimal degrees, mirroring the slow geological processes of mineral deposition deep within the Earth's crust over millennia. The search for peaceful compounds is itself a meditation, demanding immense patience, acknowledging that true discovery often reveals itself only after long periods of quiet observation, much like waiting for the quiet opening of a nocturnal flower under the soft, distant gleam of ancient starlight. The synthesized particles, meticulously purified, represent concentrated stillness, offering the promise of internal calm, a physical embodiment of tranquility waiting to be understood and gently utilized. Point 3. Many soothing medicines are derived from desert plants that conserve their healing essence deep within their sun-drenched tissues. These plants stand as silent monuments to resilience, enduring the harsh, relentless energy of the solar flux, transforming the intense heat into a slow, measured synthesis of life-sustaining chemistry. Deep within the succulent leaves or tough, protective stems, water is held with tenacity, bound by molecular forces that defy evaporation, a liquid treasure guarded against the thirsty air, much like the slow formation of dew on the desert glass during the brief, cool descent of night. The compounds they produce are dense and concentrated, necessities for their own survival, complex chemical defenses and storage mechanisms that become, for us, sources of profound comfort and gentle healing. The roots of these quiet survivors extend far into the subterranean depths, following the faint pull of gravity toward the residual moisture, tapping into reservoirs that may have remained untouched for seasons, absorbing essential minerals through the steady, silent process of osmosis. This slow, almost reluctant extraction of life from the barren ground infuses their tissues with unique properties, a quiet strength born of scarcity. When these desert essences are carefully harvested, they yield preparations that carry the memory of the sun's persistent energy and the earth's deep patience, offering a subtle warmth and a restorative deep hydration to the body's cells, mimicking the plant's own successful struggle to maintain equilibrium against immense environmental stress. They teach a gentle lesson in conservation, showing how to hold onto what is vital, how to slow the outward flow of energy, and how to utilize the intense solar energy not for rapid display, but for deep, sustained molecular fortification, ensuring survival through long cycles of heat and dryness, a quiet promise of endurance woven into their very fibers. Point 4. Historical apothecaries mixed fragrant balms in soft, filtered candlelight, creating remedies with comforting, earthy aromas. The scent of the healing materials drifted softly in the dim light, a composite smell of dried herbs, resinous gums, and warm, steady waxes, filling the air with a protective, ancient quietude. The flame of the candle itself provided a steady, gentle source of light and warmth. The energy of combustion released at a slow, measurable rate, casting elongated, peaceful shadows across the shelves, holding jars of quiet powder and bundles of dry leaves. Each ingredient was added with care, pulverized by the steady, rhythmic movement of the pestle within the heavy mortar, transforming rough material into fine, light dust, a gentle physical metamorphosis guided by human intention. The friction of the grinding released volatile organic compounds into the air, the true essence of the plants, molecules of scent that travel across the room on quiet convection currents, spreading the promise of therapeutic effect. As the oils and waxes were gently warmed over a low heat, they blended with a slow, molecular embrace, reaching a state of creamy emulsion, incorporating the fragrant powders into a smooth, soothing texture. The balms often contained elements harvested during specific moon cycles or seasons, ensuring maximum potency, a gentle acknowledgement of the natural rhythms that govern plant growth and chemical activity. The resulting salve carried the history of its making, a concentrated earthiness that spoke of quiet fields and patient drying racks, the smell itself acting as the first stage of the remedy, a calming signal sent directly to the deep, ancient parts of the brain that govern memory and emotional response. To apply such a balm was to rub quiet history into the skin, feeling the gentle warmth of the mixture, inhaling the deep, steady aroma of root and flower, allowing the essence of the past and the stillness of the present moment to merge upon the body. Point 5. The first true hospital rooms were often designed with high ceilings and gentle light to encourage a calm and restful atmosphere for healing. The expansive height above the patient's bed drew the eye upward, reducing the feeling of enclosure and encouraging the quiet distribution of air, allowing warm air to rise and dissipate slowly, preventing the stale accumulation that hinders rest. The architectural design itself was meant to mimic the openness of nature, bringing a sense of sky and distance indoors, a silent spatial metaphor for freedom and expansion. Windows were positioned carefully to filter the intense sunlight, transforming it into a soft, ambient glow, a diffused illumination that minimized harsh shadows and encouraged the smooth cycling of the body's internal clock, aligning the patient with the natural, gentle rhythm of the day's slow progress. This soft light, often reflecting off pale, calming wall surfaces, possessed a lower energy intensity, reducing the neural stimulation that often impedes the deep relaxation necessary for physiological repair. The silence of these spaces was also crucial, the thick walls dampening the sound waves of the busy world outside, creating an acoustic sanctuary where subtle internal body sounds, the gentle whoosh of blood circulation, and the quiet internal mechanics of breathing could be heard without competition, allowing the patient to focus inward on the subtle process of repair. Every curve and plane of the room contributed to a sense of tranquil order, a visual representation of balance and control, assuring the resting mind that the environment was steady and predictable. This focus on gentle architecture recognized that the environment is not merely a container for healing, but an active participant in the process, providing a quiet, stable backdrop against which the complex, delicate work of cellular regeneration could unfold without interruption, supported by the slow, steady presence of light and space. Point 6. A simple saline solution mimics the quiet chemistry of the body's own internal ocean, gently restoring balance drop by steady drop. This clear, essential fluid is a refined echo of the primordial waters from which all terrestrial life arose, a delicate balance of water and salts, primarily sodium chloride, precisely calibrated to match the natural mineral composition of the blood plasma. The solution flows from the bag suspended above, pulled silently downward by the constant, unwavering force of gravity, passing through the plastic line in measured, rhythmic drops, each fall marking the steady progress of replenishment. As the liquid enters the vein, it merges seamlessly with the existing circulatory system, the molecules mingling instantly, following the physical laws of diffusion to spread their restorative influence evenly throughout the vast network of vessels. This gentle infusion supports the critical process of osmosis, ensuring that fluids are neither pulled too quickly from the cells nor forced too harshly into them, maintaining the delicate osmotic pressure required for cellular integrity and function. The sodium and chloride ions carried within the solution are essential electrolytes, silent messengers that facilitate the transfer of electrical potential across nerve and muscle membranes, guiding the subtle, continuous electrical conversations that maintain heart rhythm and neural activity. It is a slow, silent correction, a return to the natural state of equilibrium, proving that sometimes the most profound healing comes not from complex interventions, but from the simple, measured replacement of what the body already knows and requires. The clear drip represents stability and continuity, a quiet, flowing meditation on the necessity of balance, reminding the resting patient that the internal environment is constantly seeking its steady state, flowing like a gentle, unhurried river toward the sea. Point 7. Before thermometers, the gentle warmth of a patient's forehead was the primary indicator of the subtle shifts in the body's condition. The touch was soft and careful, the fingers resting briefly against the skin, sensing the quiet transfer of thermal energy, an immediate, unmediated reading of the internal physiological state. This warmth is the quiet byproduct of metabolism, the slow, continuous chemical combustion occurring within every cell, producing the necessary energy for life and releasing excess heat that radiates softly outward. A slight increase in temperature signaled the beginning of an internal struggle, the body's defense mechanisms accelerating in their silent fight against microscopic invaders, raising the metabolic furnace to a higher, focused intensity. Conversely, a return to a mild, steady warmth indicated that the intense phase of conflict was resolving, allowing the system to settle back into its gentle, normal operating range, reducing the need for aggressive thermoregulation. The skin itself is a vast, sensitive organ, capable of dissipating heat through the slow evaporation of moisture and the gentle dilation of fine capillaries just beneath the surface, mechanisms that respond sensitively to the body's core temperature commands. The physician's hand acted as a quiet, calibrated instrument, utilizing the simple principles of thermodynamics, relying on the physical difference between the warmth of their own touch and the subtle shift in the patient's cranial heat. This gentle assessment was a profoundly human connection, a moment of physical stillness and focused empathy, where the diagnosis resided not in a number, but in the nuanced, living sensation of subtle heat, connecting the healer and the one being healed through the simple, fundamental physics of temperature exchange. A slow, shared observation of molecular vibration. Point 8. The gentle winding helix of DNA dictates the serene blueprint for repair, silently guiding the body's cells toward their intended function. This molecular structure, coiled and precise, resides deep within the nucleus, a quiet library containing the complete, unhurried instructions for the construction and maintenance of the entire organism. The famous double spiral mirrors the calm, cyclical geometry found throughout nature, from the swirling shape of galaxies to the precise arrangement of seeds in a sunflower head, symbolizing continuity and endless replication. Within the helix, the sequence of base pairs acts as a silent language, a four-letter alphabet that encodes the vast complexity of life, dictating the order in which amino acids must assemble to form the complex proteins that carry out all cellular tasks, including the quiet work of restoration. When damage occurs, the DNA mechanism initiates a process of quiet, meticulous correction, identifying the break or error and deploying specific repair enzymes that move along the strand like tiny, silent molecular mechanics, splicing and replacing sections with immense accuracy. This repair work is constant and mostly successful, a serene defense against the entropic forces that seek to introduce disorder, maintaining the integrity of the blueprint through slow, steady vigilance. The DNA does not rush. Its dictates are absolute and timeless, ensuring that daughter cells are faithful copies of the parent, promoting stability over excitement. It represents the quiet, deep memory of life itself, guiding the smallest unit of the body with the same unwavering authority that gravity uses to guide the slow, predictable orbit of a distant moon, demonstrating that the most profound and essential processes of life unfold in complete and utter stillness, a microscopic marvel of enduring order. Point 9. Quiet monastic gardens provided the necessary shelter for growing many potent herbs used in medieval medical preparations and tonics. Within the sheltered walls of the cloister, protected from harsh winds and the noisy chaos of the outside world, the herbs grew with a slow, focused energy, drawing sustenance from the carefully tended soil. The monks and apothecaries moved through these gardens with reverence, their hands recognizing the quiet power concentrated within the leaves and flowers, understanding that the potency of the medicine was tied directly to the undisturbed environment and the slow passage of the growing season. The cultivation was an act of profound patience, observing the plant's own internal timetable, knowing exactly when the molecular concentration of the active compounds reached its quiet peak, whether in the dark root during late autumn or the vibrant flower under the high summer sun. Plants such as chamomile and lavender flourished in the silence, their chemical production optimized by the lack of stress, yielding soft, aromatic oils known for their gentle calming effects. The cycle of planting, tending, harvesting, and drying was a quiet, year-long ritual that paralleled the monks' own slow spiritual practices, a recognition of the sacred economy of nature. When dried, the harvested herbs were hung in dim, airy lofts, their moisture slowly dissipating into the atmosphere, concentrating their healing essence without haste, transforming soft tissue into durable, fragrant material ready for infusion or grinding. The tonics and poultices derived from these quiet sanctuaries carried a subtle sense of peace, infused not only with the medicinal chemistry of the plant, but also with the gentle, enduring stillness of the cloistered space, offering a profound reassurance that healing requires patience, stillness, and a deep, unhurried connection to the cycles of the Earth. 10. Early surgical tools were polished until they gleamed softly under the lamp, reflecting the steady focus of the careful practitioner. The shine of the metal was not merely decorative, but practical and symbolic, ensuring a clean, non-porous surface that spoke of meticulous care and preparation, minimizing the introduction of unseen elements into the patient's vulnerable internal landscape. As the oil lamp burned steadily, casting a gentle, warm light, the polished steel surfaces caught and diffused the glow, creating soft reflections that illuminated the work area without harshness, guiding the hand with quiet clarity. The weight and balance of each instrument were familiar to the surgeon, an extension of their own steady intent, crafted for precise and deliberate movement, mirroring the quiet mechanical perfection found in the slow, perfect clockwork of the cosmos. Holding a polished scalpel or a gleaming forceps required a profound inner stillness, a mental discipline that kept the hands from trembling, relying on years of quiet, repetitive practice, aligning the body with the necessary focus required for delicate intervention. The instruments were often made of materials chosen for their enduring strength and ability to maintain a smooth edge, properties derived from the slow, intense geological processes that forge metals deep within the earth. When these tools were utilized, they moved with a careful, measured pace, reflecting the respect for the living tissues they touched, guided by the soft reflection of the lamp, a symbol of the quiet knowledge brought to bear in the moment of necessary invasion. The simple gleam on the antique steel was a testament to the dedication to purity and precision, an artifact of focused energy, promising a smooth, controlled action that offered the best chance for the body's own quiet, inevitable journey toward repair and renewed equilibrium. 11. The gentle rhythm of the heart begins its silent work long before memory takes hold, a steady drum deep within the body's quiet architecture. It is the original timekeeper, regulating not by sharp ticks, but by the slow, reliable expansion and contraction of powerful, tireless muscle fibers. This quiet pump pushes the vital river of life through miles upon miles of delicate conduits, a network that mirrors the branching patterns of ancient river deltas viewed from above. Each beat is a gentle command, sending specialized cells, the silent carriers of oxygen, out on their endless journey. These cells drift through the arteries, riding the wave created by the heartbeat's pressure, releasing their precious cargo molecule by quiet molecule to the waiting tissues. Then they gather up the used air, the carbon dioxide, and begin the slow, inevitable return through the wider, low-pressure pathways of the veins, pulled gently back toward the starting point. This entire, monumental process unfolds without conscious thought, a deep biological assurance that nourishment is always arriving, waste is always being collected, and the fundamental cycle of respiration and circulation is maintained with the steady precision of a slow-orbiting moon. The soothing sound, if amplified, is a reminder of this perpetual motion, a continuous, unwavering promise whispered into the dark silence of the body, confirming that the flow is good, the delivery is constant, and the internal machinery rests only when the whole world rests. It is the steady hum beneath all other bodily sounds, the silent foundation of wakefulness, and the gentle escort into the deep stillness of sleep. This monitored rhythm is the softest form of internal music, played without fail, minute after minute, hour after hour, a testament to enduring, quiet strength, settling all anxieties through its unwavering commitment to the constant cycle of renewal and delivery across every cell. 12. The gnarled root of ginger, unearthed from the slow-growing soil, holds within its fibrous structure a unique, concentrated warmth, a fire element meant not for burning, but for soft, internal reassurance. Traditional practices recognize this quiet thermal energy, using it to nudge the body's own circulatory systems into a state of smooth, unimpeded operation. When prepared slowly, perhaps steeped in warm water until its essential oils are released in a gentle cloud of vapor, the active compounds begin their subtle migration. They travel down the throat and into the deeper landscape of the digestive organs, initiating a feeling of expansion and slow heat radiating outward from the central core. This sensation is not rushed. It is a gradual, comforting spread, easing any internal chill or stagnation that might impede the necessary flow of nourishment and processing. The gingerol molecules, the scientific whispers of this warmth, interact gently with the lining of the stomach and intestines, encouraging a steady rhythm, smoothing out the minor disruptions that cause discomfort. It is like placing a small, perfectly sized river stone in a mildly turbulent stream, allowing the current to pass over it smoothly and proceed unimpeded. The ancient wisdom recognizes that a warmed system is a system at rest, free from the energetic cost of cold defense. This gentle internal warming encourages the body to release its tension, settling the vital energies so they may focus solely on the quiet, essential tasks of assimilation and rest, making the pathway toward sleep feel less steep and more invitingly soft. The gentle settling of the gut translates directly into a calming of the mind, a deep realization that all is well within the silent, working mechanisms of the inner self, promoting deep relaxation by supporting the core functions with a profound, earth-given heat. 13. The quiet observation of the placebo effect reveals a profound truth about the unseen architecture of the human body. The expectation of healing itself can unlock the subtle, potent mechanisms of recovery that are always dormant within. It is a testament to the mind's ability to act as the master conductor of the internal orchestra, directing resources, modulating signals, and initiating repair protocols simply through the deep, unwavering conviction of improvement. When a soothing narrative of recovery is accepted, the brain begins its quiet chemical work, releasing the body's own natural pharmacy into the bloodstream. These internal compounds, perhaps natural endorphins or precisely modulated neurotransmitters, begin their targeted mission, interacting with receptor sites in exactly the way an external medication might. They whisper to the nerve pathways, encouraging them to dampen pain signals, or they gently nudge the immune system toward a more focused, effective state of defense. This phenomenon is not mere imagination. It is a measurable redirection of biological energy, a deep biological response rooted in hope and focused attention. The body possesses an inherent blueprint for self-repair, a silent program running constantly in the background, which, under the influence of positive belief, is suddenly prioritized and amplified. It demonstrates that the pathways of healing are not solely dependent upon external materials, but are strongly influenced by the quiet internal certainty of betterment. It is a slow, reassuring reminder that the connection between thought and physical state is vast and often untapped, illustrating the deep, quiet power held within the sphere of expectation and calm psychological assurance, guiding the self back toward equilibrium and gentle rest, recognizing the profound capacity of focused mental stillness. 14. The silent laboratory, often overlooked during the shift between work and necessary rest, sometimes harbors the most profound discoveries, requiring only the quiet stillness and the accidental convergence of elements. Such was the environment in which the faint, greenish fuzz of penicillium mold began its slow, quiet colonization of a forgotten glass dish. This was not a moment of purposeful investigation, but a gentle moment of oversight, allowing the natural world to perform an unprompted, spontaneous experiment. The mold, driven by its own biological imperatives, began to secrete its defensive compounds into the sterile agar environment. Around its slow-spreading perimeter, the aggressive growth of the bacterial colonies abruptly ceased, creating a clear, silent halo of absence. This quiet zone, this demarcation line between life and inhibition, held the immense potential of a new era of healing. The observation, when finally made, was subtle, a simple realization that something natural was capable of stopping the microscopic engines of disease. It required a trained eye, attuned to the stillness and the cycles of growth, to recognize the significance of that small, circular clearing. The discovery illustrates that often the most powerful insights arrive not through forced effort, but through the gentle allowance of time and the patient capacity for observation. The mold worked slowly, silently, creating its compound drop by gentle drop, providing a profound lesson that biological power is often contained within the softest, most unassuming forms, requiring only the calm recognition of its inherent, quiet capability to stop the chaos of unchecked growth and usher in an era of unprecedented comfort. 15. The complex network of the nervous system is a busy, silent highway of electrical and chemical signals, transmitting messages across the vast geography of the body. When pain occurs, these pathways become overactive, screaming urgent and anxious messages to the central processing centers. Pain-relieving compounds approach this urgent situation not with force, but with a gentle, focused intervention, acting as molecular softeners applied directly to the signaling mechanism. These compounds are designed to fit precisely into the receptor sites located on the surface of the nerve cells, like a perfectly shaped key sliding into a silent lock. Once situated, they do not destroy the signal, but rather, they gently block the ability of the nerve cell to transmit the urgent message further along the line. They interrupt the frantic chemical conversation, effectively turning down the volume of the pain signal until it becomes a faint, barely audible whisper, or is silenced altogether. This process allows the local area to rest and recover without the constant stimulation of the alarm system. It is a quiet trick of chemistry, calming the molecular gates and slowing the flow of ions that create the electrical spike of pain. The cessation of anxious signaling permits the entire organism to settle, diverting energy away from defense and toward the quiet, constructive work of repair. The introduction of these calming molecules ensures that the body can return to its natural state of quiet transmission, where information flows smoothly and silently, allowing the mind and the muscles to relax into a restorative stillness, free from the insistent demand of discomfort and settling into deep, necessary quietude. 16. The atmosphere within the walls of a deeply stocked, well-maintained library is one of profound, hushed contemplation, a space where the passage of time seems to slow down, allowing the collected wisdom of generations to settle gently upon the consciousness. Within the silent rows of shelves rest the physical records of medicine's long, slow journey, the careful inquiries etched into paper and bound into quiet volumes. Each book represents countless hours of patient observation, meticulous record-keeping, and the steady, iterative application of human intellect striving to understand the delicate complexities of life. The texture of the old pages holds the scent of age and slow decomposition, and the ink preserves thoughts from centuries past, detailing forgotten remedies and foundational understandings that still echo in modern practice. Turning a page is a slow, quiet act of connecting with the past, accessing the quiet persistence of individuals who worked by candlelight or dim lamp, driven only by the gentle necessity of knowledge. Here, the knowledge is not shouted, but waits patiently, held in suspension until a quiet mind seeks it out. The library is a sanctuary where the speed of modern life is momentarily suspended, reminding the seeker that profound truths often require long periods of gestation and slow, deliberate investigation. It emphasizes that healing wisdom is built piece by piece, observation by gentle observation, accumulating into a vast, reassuring reservoir of human understanding, ready to be accessed by those who approach with quiet respect for the slow work of history and the deep, enduring power of recorded thought. 17. The quiet act of hydration is perhaps the most fundamental courtesy one, extends to the intricate biological systems operating tirelessly within. Water, the universal solvent, constitutes the soft medium through which all life processes unfold, flowing silently into the cellular structures across gradients of concentration, a process known as gentle osmosis. When the body is adequately hydrated, the internal rivers, the blood and the slower-moving lymph fluid, maintain an optimal viscosity, allowing them to traverse the narrow capillaries and intricate pathways without resistance. This smooth flow ensures that essential nutrients, like small barges, can reach their destinations promptly, delivering their sustenance to every distant outpost of the tissue landscape. Crucially, proper hydration facilitates the gentle departure of metabolic byproducts and toxins, the cellular debris that accumulates during the continuous process of living. Water acts as the silent carrier, picking up the waste molecules and transporting them steadily to the purification organs, where they are calmly filtered and released. It is an act of continuous internal washing, ensuring that the environment surrounding every cell remains clean and conducive to quiet function. This continuous replenishment and soft cleansing allow the body to operate in a state of quiet efficiency, free from the drag and stagnation caused by dehydration. The gentle intake of water supports the body's innate ability to achieve equilibrium, promoting smooth signaling, temperature regulation, and the silent, gentle movement toward restorative health and deep, settled relaxation, mirroring the slow, constant cycles of rainfall and river flow across the planet. 18. The foundational wisdom offered by Hippocrates centers on a profoundly gentle concept. The primary source of healing resides not in the dramatic intervention of the physician, but in the inherent, self-regulating capabilities woven into the very fabric of the living organism. This philosophy, often encapsulated by the phrase vis medicatrix naturae, emphasizes the quiet, undeniable strength of nature's own processes within the patient. The physician's role, therefore, is viewed as that of a quiet ally, a careful observer who seeks only to support and gently guide the body toward its own intended state of balance and equilibrium. This approach demands patience and a deep respect for the subtle rhythms of recovery. Instead of forcing a swift correction, the focus shifts to ensuring optimal conditions, quiet rest, gentle nourishment, and freedom from unnecessary agitation, allowing the body's innate programs of repair to unfold slowly and inevitably. The body possesses a powerful, silent intelligence that remembers the blueprint of health, and when provided with the right environment, it quietly begins the process of self-restoration. This ancient understanding encourages a trust in the slow, natural cycles of recovery, reminding us that biological healing is rarely a frantic sprint, but rather a steady, deliberate walk back toward wholeness, guided by the internal wisdom that has sustained life since its beginning. It is a calming recognition that the body knows how to heal itself, requiring only our quiet attention and gentle support to perform its most fundamental and profound magic, honoring the deep, restorative power of stillness and natural momentum. 19. In the careful, slow practices of historical healing, minerals harvested from the earth held a quiet significance, believed to possess energies capable of interacting subtly with the delicate systems of the skin. Certain silvery minerals, chosen for their softness and gentle purity, were subjected to the rhythmic, slow action of grinding, transforming the solid structure into a superfine, almost ethereal dust. This deliberate reduction created a powder of immense surface area, ready to be blended with viscous liquids or natural emollients to form a quiet, cool poultice. When applied to the skin, this preparation acted not through aggressive chemical action, but through gentle, passive interaction. The historical belief suggested that the fine mineral structure could quietly draw out the source of discomfort, perhaps through simple adsorption, binding the agitated elements on the skin's surface and easing localized tension. The immediate sensation was often one of soothing coolness, the fine powder providing a gentle barrier and a soft, uniform pressure that encouraged the local capillaries to relax. The silvery dust lay quietly against the skin, conducting a silent exchange of energy, slowly pulling the heat and agitation away, allowing the skin to settle back into its natural state of undisturbed calm. This method relied upon the patient waiting, trusting the slow, physical interaction between the soft, inorganic structure and the troubled biological surface. A gentle, grounded intervention emphasizing that sometimes the quietest touch is the most effective in restoring tranquility, connecting the body to the slow, stable presence of the deep earth. 20. The complex process of creating modern pharmaceutical compounds relies fundamentally on an environment of extreme quietude and meticulous precision, ensuring that the active ingredients are administered in a delicate balance necessary for subtle, effective interaction within the body. This phase of manufacturing involves scales of measurement so fine they approach the counting of molecules, requiring instruments housed in environments free from even the slightest vibration or atmospheric disturbance. Specialized microbalances, calibrated to detect changes measured in micrograms, perform their silent, crucial task, weighing the potent substances with an accuracy that mirrors the delicate balance of the natural world. Too much of an ingredient could introduce unintended intensity. Too little might render the intended effect non-existent. Therefore, the measurement is an exercise in quiet perfection, ensuring that the therapeutic dose is precisely achieved, capable of delivering its intended message to the body without overwhelming the system. This controlled balance ensures the compound will interact gently with the target biological pathways, achieving the intended subtle shift in function, a gentle lowering of blood pressure, a slow modulation of chemical signals, or a quiet support of cellular repair. The entire process emphasizes the principle that in complex biological systems, subtle intervention is often more powerful than aggressive action. This unwavering precision guarantees that the medication offers a predictable, repeatable, and calm interaction, allowing the body to respond smoothly and gently, trusting the exactness of the science to lead it toward a quiet, restored state of well-being. Like the subtle, necessary adjustments of planetary orbits. 21. Lavender oil, a staple in gentle healing, has long been used to calm the senses and promote the quiet transition into restful sleep. The pale violet essence drifts lightly upon the air, carrying molecular messages of peace toward the receptive nervous system, a soft whisper translated into deep biological repose. The oil itself is the quiet culmination of the plant's annual cycle, a reservoir of soft energy stored within the tiny, sun-warmed glands of the bloom, gathered slowly over the long, patient stretch of the growing season. It is primarily the compound linalool, a small, fragrant architecture that gently interacts with neural receptors, softening the edges of wakefulness and easing the mind into a state of willing surrender. Imagine the fields where lavender grows, stretching in soft, undulating purple waves under the late summer sun, absorbing the light's slow warmth and transforming it into this subtle, soothing chemistry. This slow process of photosynthesis and maturation ensures that the final oil holds a density of calm, a botanical memory of stillness. When a single drop is released, its constituent molecules begin their unhurried journey, evaporating gently into the surrounding atmosphere, carried by imperceptible drafts, much like tiny boats drifting on a still, black lake. They seek out the quiet pathways within the olfactory system, signaling to the brain that the time for active vigilance has passed and the time for restoration has begun. The scent offers a counter-rhythm to the hurried pace of the day, suggesting instead the deep, steady tempo of the Earth's rotation, the inevitable swing toward nighttime, a natural invitation to stillness that has been honored for centuries in the quiet practice of restful preparation. 22. The earliest forms of vaccination involved a gentle, controlled exposure to a mild agent, quietly preparing the immune system. This ancient wisdom recognizes the body's profound capacity for slow learning, a deep biological intelligence that requires only a quiet introduction rather than a sudden shock. The process is one of subtle recognition, where the immune cells, like patient scholars, are shown a harmless rendering of a threat, allowing them to draft a defense plan in peace and stillness. This quiet preparation avoids the urgency and chaos of a full invasion, ensuring that when the actual challenge arrives, the response is measured, precise, and swift, born not of panic but of practiced memory. Consider the way a riverbank slowly adapts to the continuous flow of water, deepening its channels and strengthening its structure in response to gentle, persistent pressure, rather than collapsing under a sudden flood. Similarly, the immune system subtly adjusts its architecture, building libraries of antibodies, which are molecular locks designed to fit the specific keys of potential pathogens. This silent, meticulous construction happens beneath the level of conscious thought, a testament to the efficient, unseen organization of the internal world. It is a biological echo of slow time, where the body honors the principle of foresight, dedicating resources to future security, while the organism rests safely in the present moment, always gently ready for the inevitable shifts in the environment that accompany the slow march of seasons and microscopic life cycles. 23. Modern medicine often relies on quiet imaging technologies that allow practitioners to see the gentle, internal flow of the body's structures. The magnetic resonance imaging machine, for example, operates on principles of deep, quiet physics, interacting with the fundamental stillness of atomic nuclei. It gently encourages the tiny, spinning protons within the body's water molecules to briefly align themselves with an external, powerful magnetic field, much like small, disciplined planetary bodies settling into a shared orbital path. Once aligned, a soft radio frequency pulse nudges them slightly out of this equilibrium. When the pulse ceases, the protons slowly relax back into their original, stable configuration, releasing faint, gentle energy waves as they return. It is the quiet measurement of these returning waves that allows for the creation of intricate, detailed images of soft tissues, revealing the slow dance of fluid and structure within the living architecture. There is no sound of cutting, no harsh light, only the steady, encompassing hum of the magnetic field and the subtle, rhythmic tapping of the gradient coils orchestrating the tiny, invisible alignment. This technology allows observation without aggressive intrusion, prioritizing the internal silence of the body. It captures the essence of gentle flow, showing the quiet pathways of nerves, the soft boundaries of organs, and the steady movement of blood, confirming the body is a landscape of continuous, flowing processes, revealed only when the environment around it is held in profound, steady stillness. 24. A healthy circulatory system is characterized by the silent, efficient movement of blood, delivering oxygen without noticeable effort. This vital flow is a masterpiece of hydrodynamics and biological engineering, relying on the gentle, rhythmic pressure supplied by the heart, a muscular pump operating tirelessly in the silent background of existence. The blood itself, composed of myriad cells floating in plasma, moves through the vast network of vessels, a journey measured in fractions of seconds, yet encompassing distances equivalent to orbits. The red blood cells are silent carriers, tiny, disc-shaped vessels filled with hemoglobin, diligently binding oxygen in the lungs and releasing it only where energy demands are highest, a quiet transaction that fuels every thought and motion. This exchange at the capillary level is entirely noiseless, a fundamental chemical conversation happening across walls only a single cell thick. There is no friction, no turbulence in the healthy flow, only the smooth, steady laminar movement of fluid guided by the gentle taper of the vessels. This circulatory quietude mirrors the stability of deep-sea currents, where vast volumes of water move continuously across the globe, driven by subtle differences in temperature and salinity, maintaining the planet's equilibrium without a sound. The efficiency of the blood's journey ensures that life persists in quiet continuity, every muscle fiber and neural pathway perpetually nourished, demonstrating that the most profound and necessary work of the body is often performed with the least fanfare. In complete and utter physiological silence. 25. The humble chamomile flower yields calming compounds that gently ease muscle tension and quiet an agitated nervous system. Within the small, sun-like blossom resides a concentration of natural chemicals, notably a pygenin, which gently binds to certain receptors in the brain, subtly modulating activity and encouraging the transition from restlessness to repose. When the essence of chamomile is consumed, these molecular keys slowly drift through the bloodstream, finding their locks and applying a soft brake to the body's excitatory mechanisms. This action mirrors the slow closing of the flower's own petals as the intensity of the day's light yields to the softer luminescence of twilight. The plant, having completed its diurnal cycle of absorbing solar energy, releases its chemical lullaby into the world, inviting shared stillness. This gentle mediation is not a forced sedation, but a quiet invitation to the natural state of relaxation, allowing tight, contracted muscle fibers the subtle permission to lengthen and soften. The tension stored during waking hours, often held unconsciously in the shoulders or the jaw, slowly melts away, much like snow yielding to the gentle warmth of the spring sun. The chamomile flower, unassuming in its appearance, thus acts as a quiet facilitator of biological surrender, reminding the complex human system that repose is an active, essential part of the cycle of life, necessary for repair, and achieved most effectively through natural, slow, and utterly gentle means. 26. Ancient Egyptians utilized honey, a naturally sterile and soothing substance, to dress wounds and encourage quiet mending. The physical properties of honey are intrinsically calming. Its high viscosity creates a protective, soft layer over injured tissue, shielding it from external disturbance while maintaining a moist environment conducive to cellular growth. Furthermore, the high concentration of natural sugars gently draws excess fluid away from the wound area through the quiet process of osmosis, creating an environment that is inhospitable to harmful microscopic life, while simultaneously reducing swelling. The slow, steady release of trace amounts of hydrogen peroxide from the honey provides continuous, soft sterilization without aggression, allowing the body's own repair mechanisms to proceed in peace. Imagine the quiet patience required for a wound to mend, a slow, microscopic reconstruction project where skin cells migrate and collagen fibers weave new structural support. Honey supports this silent architecture, acting as a benevolent guardian, ensuring that the process of renewal can unfold without interruption or infection. This ancient remedy speaks to a deep, intuitive understanding of gentle healing, where nature's own sweet preservation is harnessed to support the body's innate ability to regenerate. It emphasizes reliance on slow, stable processes, confirming that true healing is a quiet act of biological restoration that flourishes best under conditions of sustained, gentle protection, shielded from the turbulence of the external world. 27. The concept of first do no harm encourages a slow, careful approach, prioritizing gentle intervention over aggressive treatment. This principle is built upon profound patience and a deep respect for the intrinsic healing capacity of the organism, recognizing that every intervention carries a cost, and that unnecessary haste often creates more disruption than relief. It asks the practitioner to pause, to observe the natural trajectory of illness or imbalance, and to trust that the body, given appropriate support and stillness, often possesses the wisdom to self-correct. This approach is like watching a slow celestial event, where one must wait for the planets to align naturally, rather than attempting to force their orbital paths. It is the antithesis of urgency, prioritizing supportive observation and minimally invasive techniques that coax the body toward balance rather than demanding immediate, often disruptive, compliance. The slow, careful assessment of a situation ensures that treatment targets the root cause with precision, avoiding the broad, damaging strokes that accompany quick decision-making. In this gentle philosophy, time itself becomes an ally, allowing subtle shifts in physiology to become apparent, guiding the hands of the caregiver toward the quietest, most sustainable path to recovery. It is a fundamental adherence to the slow, steady rhythm of nature, understanding that robust health is built gradually, not imposed suddenly, demanding quiet restraint and measured, thoughtful movement. 28. Quiet laboratories often maintain controlled, still environments to prevent subtle fluctuations from interfering with delicate experiments. The air is carefully conditioned, movement is minimal, and the subtle vibrations of the external world are dampened by specialized platforms. In this profound stillness, the underlying reality of physical and chemical interactions can be observed without the distorting influence of human or environmental chaos. Delicate instruments, sensitive enough to detect the thermal agitation of molecules or the faint quantum noise of their neighbors, require an atmosphere of almost complete vacuum-like calm. A change in air pressure caused by a closing door, or the shift in temperature from a nearby human presence, can introduce unwanted variables that obscure the gentle signals being measured. This required stillness reflects a deep respect for the processes under investigation, recognizing that true knowledge is often found in the quietest, most subtle observations. The scientists themselves move with deliberate slowness and quiet steps, becoming part of the required stillness, focusing their attention on the slow accumulation of precise data points. It is within this controlled environment that the fundamental constants of nature reveal themselves, where the gentle forces that govern the universe, gravity, electromagnetism, and the silent, patient decay of isotopes, can be tracked with unwavering accuracy, demanding a commitment to quietude that mimics the vast, silent void of interstellar space. 29. The soothing rhythm of breathing exercises is often employed in rehabilitation to gently regulate the body's response to stress. Respiration provides an accessible, physical anchor to the present moment, a continuous, reliable cycle that can be consciously slowed and deepened to quiet the sympathetic nervous system. As the diaphragm descends with a slow, deliberate intake of air, the vagus nerve is gently stimulated, sending molecular messages to the brain that signal safety and encourage physiological calm. This slow, expansive breath acts as a countercurrent to the shallow, rapid breathing associated with anxiety, gently easing the heart rate toward a steadier, slower cadence. The rhythmic rise and fall of the chest and abdomen becomes a physical manifestation of stability, a constant, predictable motion in a world often perceived as chaotic. Engaging in deep, slow breathing is akin to manually adjusting the internal clock, synchronizing the disparate elements of the body into a unified, tranquil tempo. This gentle regulation reminds the system that control is achieved not through force, but through deliberate, measured release. The inhalation is the slow gathering of energy, and the exhalation is the soft, complete letting go, a surrender of tension that mimics the slow, inexorable ebb and flow of the tide upon a sandy shore, consistently arriving and receding, always in perfect, quiet balance. 30. Many vitamins are quiet facilitators, enabling necessary biochemical reactions without being consumed or dramatically changed themselves. Operating as cofactors or coenzymes, these complex organic molecules integrate seamlessly into the enzymatic machinery of the cell, acting as necessary keys or subtle stabilizing components that allow a reaction to proceed efficiently. They do not participate in the final product of the reaction. Rather, they serve as gentle guides, ensuring that the larger, heavier substrates can align correctly and interact at the precise moment required. Imagine a complex chemical assembly line operating in silence within the body. The vitamin simply stands beside the main enzyme, offering a specific structural support or a momentary electrical charge that lowers the energy barrier for the main process. Once the action is complete, the vitamin remains intact, available immediately to facilitate the next necessary reaction, cycling through countless events without diminishment. This quiet persistence is key to their power. They are the unseen, tireless supporters of metabolism, governing the utilization of energy, the construction of proteins, and the transfer of genetic information, all without ever claiming the spotlight. Their role is one of continuous, gentle service, confirming that the most essential biological processes often depend not on dramatic transformations, but on the steady, unyielding presence of quiet facilitators that ensure the silent, continuous functionality of life itself. 31. The ancient Greek symbol of the rod of Asclepius features a serpent, representing the quiet, slow renewal and shedding of illness. The image of the serpent winding itself around the steady staff evokes a sense of timeless transformation, a gentle metaphor for the cyclical nature of healing. The serpent, across many quiet traditions, is observed for its mesmerizing capacity to shed its old skin, leaving behind the dull, exhausted layer to emerge fresh and renewed. This shedding is not a violent break, but a slow, continuous process, mirroring the gradual molecular replacement that occurs within the human body as cells age and are quietly replaced by new, vital structures. When the body works toward restoration, it performs its own internal, gentle shedding, moving away from the pattern of illness toward the pattern of wholeness. The rod itself represents stability, the steady, unwavering support system that allows the vulnerable process of renewal to take place without sudden interruption. Like the steady rotation of the seasons, guaranteeing the return of life after winter's deep quiet, the serpent upon the rod assures us that recovery is often a slow, inevitable turning back toward the light. It is a symbol that whispers of patience, reminding the observer that healing rarely rushes, preferring instead to proceed with the dignity and quiet consistency of natural growth, rooted in the foundational physics of continuous molecular change and the reliable rhythm of biological time. The slow, smooth coil of the serpent suggests the long path of convalescence, acknowledging the time required for the body's systems to quietly synchronize and steady themselves once more, mirroring the silent, smooth passage of celestial bodies across the night sky, predictable and infinitely reassuring in their perpetual motion. 32. Quiet moments of rest allow the body's immune cells to steadily patrol and repair microscopic damage without interference. As the conscious world settles into the deep stillness of the night, a silent, vital city comes alive within the sleeping form. The gentle waves of delta sleep wash over the nervous system, signaling to the body's maintenance crews that external threats are minimized, and it is safe to focus entirely on internal renovation. The specialized immune cells, the microscopic sentinels, drift through the quiet waterways of the circulatory system, moving like slow, dedicated clouds on a tireless patrol. These cells, macrophages and lymphocytes, identify subtle molecular disarray and minute cellular damage that accumulated during the bright, demanding day. Their work is characterized by quiet precision. They engulf and dismantle damaged fragments, gently repairing the delicate infrastructure of tissues and organs. This steady, restorative effort is amplified when the body is truly at rest, unburdened by the production of stress hormones, which often interfere with this essential internal coordination. The restful state creates a calm internal environment, like a deep-sea laboratory, allowing the complex biochemical reactions necessary for repair to proceed efficiently and without turbulence. This silent biological vigilance ensures that the underlying architecture of health remains robust and ready for the demands of the coming morning, performing a slow, crucial sweep of the entire system, a molecular housekeeping that occurs far beneath the threshold of awareness, ensuring the peaceful continuity of life's complex processes. Point 33. Traditional healers often listened intently to the subtle variations in a patient's voice, seeking clues to their internal quiet state. The human voice is not merely a carrier of words, but a profound wave of vibration originating deep within the chest cavity, shaped by the steady passage of breath and the subtle tension of the muscles. A traditional listener understands that distress, whether physical or emotional, often manifests as a slight alteration in this vibrational pattern, a texture or resonance that deviates from the smooth, expected flow. When a patient speaks, the healer waits with quiet patience, absorbing the sound, allowing the gentle frequency of the voice to settle in the silent listening space. They seek the subtle tremble that indicates hidden exhaustion, or the muted resonance that suggests a blockage in the free movement of air and energy. This careful attention requires the environment to be still, free from the sharp edges of external noise, mirroring the internal quiet needed for genuine introspection. It is a slow, methodical diagnosis based on acoustic physics and human subtlety, tracing the path of the exhalation, observing how the air is shaped by the throat and mouth. The voice becomes a gentle echo of the body's deeper, less conscious rhythms, reflecting the steady beat of the heart and the quiet stability of the nervous system. By noting these gentle, acoustic clues, the healer attempts to understand the patient's underlying rhythm, recognizing the difference between a voice that flows like a smooth, quiet stream and one that carries the faint, rough undertone of imbalance. A subtle shift in vibration, much like the barely perceptible change in a pendulum's swing when its environment changes. Point 34. The simple act of washing hands promotes quiet cleanliness, interrupting the invisible transmission of many troublesome agents. The gentle flow of water is a timeless symbol of purification, reflecting the natural cycle of rain and the cleansing power of flowing rivers. When water is combined with a simple soap, a quiet, profound molecular interaction begins. Soap is composed of molecules that possess a dual nature, one end attracted to water, the other attracted to oils and the microscopic debris that adheres to the skin. These molecules quietly arrange themselves, forming specialized structures called micelles, which act like tiny, tireless collectors. They gently surround the unwanted particles and the invisible agents that may carry potential illness, encapsulating them securely. This complex of oil, debris, and soap is then easily swept away by the running stream, moving out of contact and down the drain, completing a cycle of quiet removal. This repetitive action is not dramatic, but a small, steady ritual of boundary setting, reinforcing the invisible line between the healthy self and the ambient microbial environment. It is a moment of conscious pause, a gentle, smooth interruption of potentially harmful invisible chains. Historically, the adoption of this quiet practice marked a profound shift toward modern understanding of health, proving that the simplest, slowest, and most accessible methods often yield the most powerful, sustained results, echoing the principle that small, consistent energy inputs eventually lead to large-scale, positive transformations over time. Point 35. Willow bark contains salicin, a precursor to aspirin, offering a natural, gentle way to manage discomfort and mild inflammation. The willow tree stands often at the edge of quiet water, its roots reaching deep into the moist, cool earth, drawing up essential nutrients and crafting within its structure the complex compounds that serve as its natural defense. Salicin is one such compound, slowly synthesized through the tree's quiet respiration, stored primarily within the rugged, outer layer of its bark. For centuries, observant healers recognized the soothing properties released when this bark was gently decocted and consumed. Once inside the body, the salicin molecule undergoes a slow, subtle transformation, metabolized into salicylic acid, the active component that provides its gentle benefit. This transformation is not abrupt, but gradual, allowing the compound to interact smoothly with the body's internal systems. It functions by quietly modulating the pathways that generate inflammatory signals, acting like a soft, steady hand that calms the overreaction of stressed tissues. This natural remedy suggests a gentle partnership between the botanical world and human physiology, a quiet recognition of therapeutic structure derived from the patient, slow growth of a riverside plant. The compound offers a steady, long-lasting ease, contrasting with sharper, quicker reactions, favoring the slow, steady return to comfort. Much like the gentle, consistent pressure of the root system that quietly holds the riverbank against the erosion of time and current. 36. Many pills are coated with a smooth, silent layer that allows them to pass gently through the stomach before releasing their healing components. The pill itself is a product of careful engineering, designed not only for its active content but for its precise, intended journey through the deep, complex landscape of the human digestive system. The outer coating is a subtle marvel of polymer chemistry, created to resist the strong, acidic currents within the stomach. This smooth, silent layer protects the therapeutic molecules within, ensuring they are not prematurely neutralized or destroyed by the gastric environment. The pill travels slowly, steadily downward, encased in its protective shell, like a small, polished seed being carried gently by a soft current toward its designated location. The outer layer is designed to respond only to a specific environmental cue, typically the elevated alkalinity found lower down in the small intestine. It is at this precise, silent point that the coating slowly begins to yield, dissolving with grace and quiet efficiency. The contained healing components are then released into the waiting system, a targeted delivery ensuring maximum effectiveness and minimal systemic shock. This precise, quiet delay mechanism is essential for controlling the rate of absorption, allowing the active ingredients to begin their steady, sustained work of restoration, following a timeline as predictable and patient as the slow, measured orbit of the Earth around the distant, stable sun. 37. The slow, deep sleep stage is when the brain quietly consolidates memories and performs vital housekeeping for the next day. As the mind releases its hold on conscious thought, descending into the profound stillness of slow-wave sleep, the brain begins its most essential, dedicated work. This stage is characterized by the dominance of delta waves, long, undulating electrical rhythms that sweep gently and repetitively across the cortex, like quiet, expansive tides washing over a deserted beach. During these delta rhythms, the day's experiences are meticulously sorted and filed. Important sensory information and freshly acquired knowledge are quietly transferred from temporary holding areas, like the hippocampus, to more durable, long-term storage across the neocortex. This process of memory consolidation is a silent restructuring, a careful knitting together of concepts and events, ensuring the previous day's learning becomes stable and accessible. Simultaneously, the specialized fluid dynamics of the glymphatic system activate, increasing the flow of cerebrospinal fluid. This fluid acts as a gentle, internal cleaning wash, slowly moving through the neural tissues, quietly sweeping away the metabolic byproducts and waste molecules that accumulate during wakefulness. This crucial housekeeping ensures the neural pathways are clear and optimized, preparing the brain for the intricate, rapid processing demands of the coming day. A silent, meticulous restoration that allows for true mental renewal. 38. The quiet dignity of a well-organized medical chart reflects the careful, continuous tracking of a patient's gentle trajectory toward health. The medical record is far more than a simple collection of papers or digital entries. It is a profound historical document, a continuous narrative built upon dedication and measured observation. Each data point, each recorded temperature or pressure reading, is a quiet testament to consistency, marking the subtle, steady movement toward balance. The organization of the chart itself promotes clarity and quiet confidence, ensuring that the patient's past condition can be instantly and accurately compared with the present. It maps the trajectory of healing, tracing the gradual, often imperceptible improvement over weeks or months. This careful documentation avoids the drama of sudden shifts, focusing instead on the reliability of small, consistent changes, emphasizing the body's innate, quiet drive toward equilibrium. The charts speak in the silent language of numbers and dates, creating an objective picture that stands apart from fleeting emotion, confirming the slow, gentle progress that might otherwise be overlooked in the rush of daily life. The dignity comes from this precision, reflecting the thoughtful, patient energy required to track complex biological cycles and ensure that the delicate navigation toward wellness is always anchored in accurate, legible evidence. 39. For centuries, aloe vera has been known for its cooling properties, quietly soothing minor burns and encouraging skin regeneration. Originating in arid environments, the aloe vera plant is a masterful accumulator of water, storing vast reservoirs of moisture within its thick, fleshy leaves. The clear, viscous gel extracted from the inner leaf is rich in polysaccharides and glycoproteins, compounds that offer immediate, profound relief to irritated or mildly burned skin. When applied, the gel provides a powerful, quiet cooling sensation, achieved through the slow physical process of drawing excess heat away from the damaged surface and through the gentle mechanism of evaporation. This simple act of cooling reduces immediate discomfort and minimizes further cellular stress. Beyond the initial soothing effect, the compounds in aloe vera initiate a quiet dialogue with the underlying dermal cells. They encourage the slow, measured process of mitosis, promoting the gentle division and migration of new skin cells needed for tissue repair. It supports the skin's natural barrier function, allowing the surface to rebuild with resilience and integrity. This restoration is not fast, but steady, a slow encouragement of natural growth that favors deep, lasting repair over quick, superficial fixes. The plant offers its quiet, enduring strength, lending its deep reservoir of moisture to the process of human renewal, reflecting the gentle persistence of water in the dry landscape. 40. The body's internal temperature regulation is a subtle, quiet balancing act, keeping us comfortably stable even as the world changes. At the core of this complex regulation is the hypothalamus, a small, highly sophisticated region deep within the brain that acts as the body's unwavering, silent thermostat. It maintains homeostasis by monitoring the blood's temperature with tireless precision, ensuring it stays within the narrow, optimal range necessary for enzyme function and molecular life. When exposed to cold, the hypothalamus initiates subtle, quiet responses. Tiny signals travel to the peripheral blood vessels, causing them to gently constrict, redirecting the warm blood flow away from the skin's surface and inward toward the vital organs. If external temperature rises, the reverse occurs. Vessels quietly dilate, allowing excess heat to softly radiate into the environment, often assisted by the gentle cooling of perspiration. This constant, fractional adjustment is happening ceaselessly, a feedback loop so immediate and quiet that we remain largely unaware of its meticulous operation. It is a profound study in biological equilibrium, ensuring that despite the turbulence or extremes of the external world, the internal environment remains stable and consistent, mirroring the deep, gravitational force that quietly holds the atoms of the universe together, preventing collapse and ensuring perpetual, measured function. 41. Modern drug delivery systems are sometimes designed to release medication slowly, maintaining a gentle, steady presence in the bloodstream. The quiet promise of sustained release technology speaks to the body's preference for smooth constancy rather than sudden surges. Imagine a small, carefully constructed vessel traveling along the inner currents of the bloodstream, designed with microscopic precision to offer its contents not all at once, but particle by slow particle. This mirrors the vast, steady clockwork of the natural world, where the sun does not burst into full heat instantly, but rises with a predictable, escalating warmth, or where the great glaciers melt their ancient ice, feeding rivers over centuries instead of moments. The molecules of medicine are held within a matrix, a patient structure that dissolves with the slow inevitability of deep time, ensuring that the therapeutic level remains within a narrow, comfortable window. This steadiness allows the body's complex biological machinery to adapt gracefully. It is a continuous, soft communication, a constant, low murmur of healing intent that never startles the resting immune system or overwhelms the delicate balance of the liver's work. This sustained presence mimics the background noise of health itself, the quiet, tireless rhythm of the heart, the steady production of cellular energy, and the unhurried cycle of tissue regeneration. The system relies on the physics of diffusion, the slow, molecular wandering from a place of concentration to a place of lesser concentration. A gentle spreading that ensures equilibrium is maintained across the vast network of circulation. It is a slow, methodical kindness offered to the systems of the human body, providing consistent support through the deepest hours of the sleeping cycle and the gentle unfolding of the day. 42. The earliest written prescriptions were often simple lists of herbs and quiet rituals intended to restore harmony to the patient. These ancient texts, etched carefully onto clay or papyrus, speak of a profound commitment to observation and balance. They describe ingredients harvested under specific moons or mixed at twilight, emphasizing the connection between the human microcosm and the slow, predictable macrocosm of the heavens. The intention was not aggressive intervention, but gentle adjustment, nudging the biological system back toward its natural, ordered state, much like a meticulous gardener gently guides a vine back onto its proper trellis. The recipes detail the slow grinding of roots and leaves, the precise temperature for steeping a restorative tea, and the necessity of silence during preparation, recognizing that the act of healing begins with calm intention. These prescriptions often included instructions for quiet contemplation or specific breathing rhythms, understanding that the mind's stillness is a necessary partner to the body's repair work. The focus was on removing impediments to the flow of life force, or balancing the hot and the cold, the wet and the dry, concepts drawn from the cycles of the seasons themselves. The language used in these ancient medical writings is often poetic, comparing robust health to the steady flow of a deep river or the perfect cycle of the celestial sphere. The prescribed ritual was often as important as the herb itself, providing a quiet framework, a gentle structure within which the patient could rest and allow the slow, natural currents of recovery to assert their steady power. It is a testament to the belief that true health is found not in struggle, but in quiet, harmonious acceptance of the body's innate wisdom. 43. Acupuncture involves the gentle placement of fine needles along energy pathways, subtly prompting the body's natural healing responses. These pathways, often described as invisible rivers of vital energy, flow throughout the body, connecting tissues and organs in a continuous, silent conversation. The placement of the delicate needles is an act of meticulous listening, sensing where the flow has become stagnant or overly turbulent, and then introducing a quiet, subtle redirection. The process is not one of force, but of suggestion, a gentle molecular whisper that encourages the body's sophisticated internal messaging system to correct its own course. Imagine the steady current of a stream, and how the introduction of a single, smooth pebble can subtly alter the direction of the water, allowing it to flow more smoothly past a previously obstructed bank. The fine needle acts as this quiet, catalytic presence, momentarily interrupting the electrical signaling to encourage a cascade of restorative chemicals, sometimes increasing local circulation or prompting the release of the body's own natural soothing agents. This subtle engagement with the nervous system bypasses conscious thought, operating instead at the deep level of cellular communication and biological rhythm. It encourages the muscles to soften their unnecessary tension, allows the breath to deepen naturally, and invites the mind to settle into a state of profound, unfettered rest. The entire experience emphasizes slowness and deep patience, relying on the body's innate tendency toward balance and order, a quiet acknowledgement that all healing is ultimately self-healing, gently prompted by the skillful and respectful placement of the finest steel .44. The sound of a steady, calm voice is often the first medicine given to a person in distress, offering immediate, gentle reassurance. The human ear, a marvel of sensitive mechanics, is exquisitely tuned to the subtle frequencies and rhythms of vocal tone, interpreting the silent emotional context before the actual words register in full meaning. A steady voice sends sound waves that vibrate at a predictable, low frequency, mirroring the comforting rhythm of a steady, healthy heartbeat. When these calm vibrations reach the tiny bones of the inner ear and are translated into electrical signals for the brain, they trigger an immediate cascade of soothing neurochemicals. This steady tone bypasses the immediate alarm systems, gently signaling to the deepest parts of the limbic system that the immediate environment is safe and predictable. It acts as an auditory anchor in a moment of turbulent internal experience, providing a stable point around which the patient's racing thoughts can slowly begin to organize themselves. The slow, measured cadence of the words, the careful articulation, and the absence of sudden shifts in volume all contribute to a feeling of gentle inevitability and control. It is a non-invasive sonic compress, applied directly to the agitated spirit, encouraging the shallow breath to deepen and the tight muscles to release their unnecessary holding. Just as the sound of gentle, repetitive rain can lull the nervous system into rest, so too does the rhythm of a kind, steady voice establish a temporary, safe harbor, offering the prerequisite peace needed for the deeper work of physical healing to begin its slow, methodical process. 45. Quiet nutrition provides the foundational building blocks that cells need to perform their repair duties smoothly and without stress. Within the deep, silent landscape of the body, trillions of cells are engaged in constant, meticulous maintenance, a hidden construction project that never pauses. The process relies entirely on the slow, steady delivery of essential molecules, the carefully prepared amino acids, the precise configuration of fatty acids, and the measured release of necessary trace minerals. These nutritional elements are not used dramatically, but rather subtly woven into the fabric of new cell membranes, integrated into the structure of enzymes, and utilized in the complex, quiet dance of DNA repair. When the supply is steady and gentle, the cellular machinery operates with smooth efficiency, minimizing the production of irritating metabolic byproducts. Imagine the cellular environment as a highly organized factory floor, where materials arrive just in time, perfectly sorted and ready for assembly. There is no rush, no wasted movement, only the steady, predictable hum of effective work. This quiet foundational support ensures that the body's slow cycles of renewal, skin shedding, bone rebuilding, immune cell turnover happen seamlessly, often while the conscious mind is entirely at rest. The energy derived from these quiet nutrients is released gradually, supporting long-term endurance rather than sudden bursts of activity, ensuring that the critical internal systems, like the slow, steady filtering of the liver and the heart's tireless pulsing, are maintained through the deepest stillness of the night. 46. Before sophisticated anesthesia, gentle words and soft compressions were used to minimize distress during necessary procedures. This historical reliance on compassion, underscores the profound power of human presence and physical comfort in managing intense sensation. In those times, the caregiver's primary tools were stillness and steady rhythmic touch. Procedures were carried out with deliberate slowness, honoring the body's inevitable reaction by providing a counter-calmness. The soft compressions, applied with rhythmic assurance to an arm or the forehead, provided a grounding sensation, a steady, predictable pressure that helped the nervous system register a safe boundary in the midst of necessary chaos. The gentle words were spoken low and continuously, not necessarily for instruction, but to occupy the auditory cortex with a pattern of calm repetition, distracting the awareness from the sharp edges of sensation. This was an early, intuitive form of pain management, relying on the body's ability to focus attention away from internal stress toward external, predictable comfort. The slow passing of time was managed by counting breaths or silently marking the phases of the procedure, creating a framework of predictable slowness. This method acknowledged that distress is not solely physical, but also profoundly emotional, and that the unwavering, quiet kindness of another person acts as a profound psychological buffer. The focus was always on generating a soft internal space for the patient, a silent invitation to find stillness, allowing the necessary intervention to occur within a cocoon of protective, gentle presence, ensuring that the spirit remained undisturbed even as the body underwent its trial. 47. The gentle filtering process of the kidneys silently manages waste, ensuring the bloodstream remains pure and balanced throughout the night. Deep within the body, two bean-shaped organs perform this tireless, continuous hydraulic work, a microscopic mastery of molecular selection. Each kidney contains millions of nephrons, tiny, intricate filtering units that operate with the precision of the finest biological sieve. Blood flows in slowly, pushed by the quiet force of the heart's steady output, and is carefully filtered through the capillary tufts, a process so delicate that only small molecules like water, glucose, and waste products are allowed through. The large, vital proteins and blood cells remain gently in circulation. Following this initial filtration, the liquid travels through winding tubules, where the body patiently reclaims almost everything useful, returning water molecule by molecule, absorbing essential salts and sugars back into the bloodstream. This reabsorption ensures that the body maintains its perfect internal chemical composition, a silent dedication to homeostasis. The unnecessary components, the metabolic leftovers and excess mineral ions, are allowed to continue their slow journey, eventually concentrating into the waste fluid. This entire system operates outside of conscious command, a continuous, slow-motion purification that never rushes, ensuring that the internal environment remains perfectly balanced, like a pristine mountain lake with a steady, subsurface inflow and outflow. The kidneys work while the body rests, their gentle, rhythmic function providing the silent, essential foundation for regenerative sleep, and the smooth continuation of life's complex chemistry. 48. Many medical breakthroughs began as simple, quiet hypotheses pondered late at night in the stillness of a researcher's study. The deepest insights often require a state of profound calm, a surrender to the slow, unhurried unfolding of complex thought, far removed from the sharp urgency of the daytime world. Imagine the soft light illuminating only the desk, the rest of the world submerged in the velvet darkness, where external distractions fall silent, and the mind is free to follow the slow, meandering paths of possibility. The process of forming a foundational hypothesis is not a sudden spark, but rather the quiet arrangement of known facts into a new, compelling pattern, like arranging scattered stones, until they reveal the unexpected outline of a perfect, ancient circle. The stillness of the late hour allows the researcher to hold multiple conflicting ideas gently in the mind, testing the weight of evidence without the rush for immediate conclusion. Solutions often arrive through a sense of gentle inevitability, a realization that the answer was always present, merely hidden by the noise of the day. This solitary contemplation is a necessary period of deep incubation, where the slow, relentless power of curiosity combines with absolute patience, allowing complex data sets to slowly coalesce into a clear, unifying principle. It is in this quiet, solitary space, guided by the slow revolution of the stars outside the window, that the gentle architecture of new understanding is often drawn, waiting for the morning light to validate the quiet insight achieved during the deep stillness of the night. 49. Traditional cold compresses utilize the passive power of cooling to gently constrict vessels and reduce local inflammation quietly. The application of a cold compress is a demonstration of the simple, inevitable physics of heat transfer, where thermal energy naturally flows from the warmer object, the inflamed tissue, to the cooler object, the compress. This gentle transfer of energy slows the frantic molecular movement that characterizes inflammation. As the tissue temperature slowly drops, the tiny local blood vessels, sensing the change in thermal state, gently narrow their diameter in a process called vasoconstriction. This narrowing is a controlled response, reducing the flow of blood and, crucially, slowing the migration of inflammatory cells and fluid into the injured area. The cooling effect acts like a quiet pause button on the swelling process, allowing the body's larger healing mechanisms time to organize themselves without the interference of excessive edema. There is no active intervention required from the patient, only the simple acceptance of the compress's cool presence. It is a therapy based on stillness and natural thermodynamic balance, relying on the passive surrender of heat energy to encourage physical rest in the affected area. The sensation is initially one of coolness, followed by a gradual numbing that is itself a form of localized, temporary rest for the sensory nerves, quietly dampening the intensity of the pain signals. This gentle, non-aggressive approach respects the body's biological responses, while providing the subtle influence necessary for the slow, quiet return to equilibrium. 50. The human body contains vast reserves of regenerative stem cells, silently waiting for the quiet signal to begin localized repair. These remarkable cells exist in dedicated niches throughout the tissues and organs, resting in a state of suspended animation, perfectly preserved and ready for duty. They are the body's ultimate contingency plan, a deep, silent well of biological potential. When an area sustains damage, a cascade of specific molecular signals, subtle chemical messengers sent out by the distressed tissue, drifts toward these waiting cells. This quiet biochemical summons acts as a gentle wake-up call, prompting the stem cells to leave their peaceful resting place and migrate slowly toward the site of need. Once they arrive, they begin the astonishing process of differentiation, specializing into the exact cell type required, whether it is new muscle fiber, skin cell, or bone matrix. This repair process is slow, methodical, and entirely autonomous, happening deep beneath the level of conscious awareness. It is a continuous, silent renewal that ensures the body is always rebuilding, replacing worn-out components with fresh, perfectly formed duplicates. This silent regenerative capacity speaks to the profound wisdom embedded in the biological blueprint, the constant, patient dedication to maintenance. These reserves are always present, a comforting biological certainty that even in the face of minor or major damage, the potential for quiet, steady renewal is always available, waiting only for the appropriate signal to begin its peaceful, restorative work. 51. The gentle art of compounding pharmacy allows tailored medicines to be crafted, specifically meeting the quiet, unique needs of one person. This process is one of molecular whisper, where the usual rush of mass production slows to the pace of careful, calibrated measurement. Imagine the fine, sifted powders, each crystalline particle holding its potential energy, waiting to be combined in precise, predetermined ratios. The pharmacist moves with a steady, unhurried hand, utilizing delicate instruments to weigh milligrams and calculate dissolution rates that are perfect only for a single individual's specific rhythm. Perhaps a flavor must be muted, or an excipient removed entirely because of a quiet sensitivity, a hidden intolerance that the standard remedy cannot account for. The compounds blend in the soft light of the laboratory, transforming from separate entities into a harmonious suspension, a specific density engineered to interact perfectly with one unique biological landscape. This is not the loud work of industry, but the hushed, careful construction of relief, a bespoke chemical architecture designed to bypass friction and offer the easiest possible path to steady well-being. The final preparation is encapsulated or suspended in a carrier liquid, resting calmly, waiting for its moment to gently introduce its balanced components into the intricate circulatory stream. This tailored intervention acknowledges the subtle variations in human physiology, understanding that true comfort sometimes lies in the minute adjustment, the gentle deviation from the mean, ensuring that the medicine aligns perfectly with the quiet, necessary demands of the recipient's gentle inner structure, allowing for minimal disturbance as the therapeutic molecules begin their silent, intended work across cell membranes and through the quiet pathways of the body. 52. Historically, physicians traveled with portable, velvet-lined cases that held their instruments, protecting the precious tools gently. The velvet, a fabric of accumulated softness, served as a quiet sentinel against the harsh jostling of the road, absorbing the small vibrations and the sudden shifts that come with movement through time and terrain. Within these dark, cushioned cradles, the polished steel of the instruments rested, their edges muted and protected from accidental dulling or scratching. Consider the slow journey, the case traveling by horse-drawn carriage or perhaps carried carefully by hand across uneven cobblestones or soft forest paths. The instruments inside oblivious to the external movement, held still within their protective confines. The case itself was often made of dark, heavy wood or leather, designed to withstand the years and the constant demands of travel, a quiet, sturdy companion to the physician. When the case was finally opened in a dimly lit room, perhaps beside a flickering hearth, the instruments were revealed in their quiet, perfect readiness, unscratched and prepared for their delicate work. The lining of the velvet was crucial, acting as a soft, silent buffer against the inevitable friction of motion, preserving the integrity of the finely crafted hinges and the subtle curvature of the metal. This gentle preservation speaks to the value placed upon the tools of healing, recognizing that their efficacy depended not just on their initial design, but on the constant, quiet maintenance of their form, keeping them sharp yet cushioned, ready yet resting, shielded from the world until their quiet purpose was finally called upon. 53. The hushed colors often chosen for hospital walls, pale blues and greens, are selected to promote a subtle sense of calm and rest. These soft hues interact with the eye in a manner quite distinct from the stimulating warmth of reds or yellows, residing at the cooler end of the visible light spectrum. Pale blue evokes the steady, vast stillness of the open sky on a clear morning, suggesting infinite space and reducing any feeling of confinement or abruptness. Green, often a soft sage or seafoam tone, subtly mirrors the quiet persistence of nature, the slow growth of plants, and the deep, reassuring balance of chlorophyll's work. When light diffuses across walls painted in these cool, gentle colors, the human nervous system registers a lower level of visual arousal. The calming effects are not dramatic or immediate, but rather a slow, constant input of visual peace, subtly instructing the mind to settle and the muscles to relax their quiet tension. Scientists observe that these specific wavelengths seem to gently modulate the production of stress hormones, encouraging the body's own restorative processes to unfold without visual friction. The colors become a quiet backdrop to the essential work of recovery, minimizing the sensory demands placed upon a system already dedicated to healing. It is a calculated stillness, a design choice meant to create an environment where the internal rhythms of the body can slow their pace and align with the quiet permanence of the gentle, expansive sky, or the steady, unhurried growth found deep within the Earth's most balanced and comforting natural landscapes. 54. Quiet adherence to preventative measures, like consistent movement and good diet, minimizes the need for drastic intervention later. This is the wisdom of slow, steady accumulation, mimicking the way a river patiently smooths stones over countless seasons. Each small choice, a glass of water, a handful of nutrient-rich food, a gentle, sustained walk, contributes a minimal positive vector to the trajectory of long-term health. There is no urgency in these acts. They are woven seamlessly into the quiet texture of the day, forming a supportive biological baseline that buffers against the inevitable friction of living. Consistent movement keeps the circulatory system flowing easily, ensuring that oxygen and cellular nutrients are delivered without strain, like a gentle current moving smoothly toward its destination. A balanced diet provides the microscopic building blocks, the necessary amino acids and gentle fatty molecules required for constant repair and cellular renewal, preventing the small, quiet deficits from compounding into large, visible issues. This preventative approach operates silently, working at the molecular level to maintain homeostasis, ensuring that the body's internal environment remains stable and balanced, reducing the need for the sudden, loud introduction of crisis measures. It is the steady maintenance of the structure, ensuring that the slow decay inherent in biological time is perpetually countered by small, meaningful acts of support. This quiet, continuous effort yields a smooth, uninterrupted progression, allowing life to unfold with minimal resistance, anchored by the consistent rhythm of small, thoughtful care. 55. The discovery of antiseptics allowed wounds to heal cleanly, replacing loud infection with quiet, steady tissue repair. Before this fundamental realization, the bacterial world intruded violently upon the delicate work of healing, creating inflammation and systemic chaos that often consumed the patient entirely. The application of antiseptic agents introduced a profound molecular stillness, a gentle cleansing that quieted the aggressive proliferation of microorganisms. Suddenly, the battle shifted from a full-scale, feverish confrontation to a quiet, focused reconstruction. The antiseptic liquid, perhaps a solution of phenol or iodine, settled over the injury, creating a temporary, sterile field, allowing the body's own gentle repair mechanisms to begin their work without interruption. The process of granulation, the slow, subtle formation of new connective tissue, could proceed unhindered by the loud metabolic demands of fighting widespread infection. Collagen fibers, those foundational, quiet proteins, began their slow, precise cross-linking, knitting the severed tissues back together cell by cell, molecule by molecule. The heat and redness of deep infection subsided, replaced by the cool, steady warmth of organized cellular activity. The sound of this healing is utterly silent, manifesting only as the gentle drawing together of skin edges and the strengthening of underlying structure. This shift from septic noise to aseptic silence represents a profound turning point in biological understanding, acknowledging that sometimes the greatest intervention is the introduction of quietude, allowing the body's innate, gentle capacity for restoration to unfold at its natural, steady pace. 56. Many soft gel capsules utilize natural gelatin derived from collagen, a quiet protein fundamental to structure and gentle support. Collagen is the pervasive, silent architecture of the body, forming triple helix strands that provide tensile strength to skin, bones, and connective tissues. It is a protein built on repeating sequences of amino acids, often glycine, proline, and hydroxyproline, weaving a molecular scaffold that holds the biological structure in quiet, persistent shape. When harvested and processed into gelatin, this strong structure is gently denatured, transforming into a malleable substance perfect for encapsulating liquid medications. The resulting capsule is smooth and soft, easily swallowed, and designed to dissolve slowly within the gentle, warm environment of the digestive tract. The quiet transformation allows the medicine within to be released precisely when and where it is intended, without sharp boundaries or sudden dissolution. This entire mechanism relies on the unassuming strength of collagen, which itself is a testament to natural cycles, the slow growth and steady maintenance of animal structure. The presence of gelatin in medicine is a quiet reminder that the very materials that provide flexible support throughout the living world can be harnessed to deliver delicate chemical information, surrounding the potent substance in a soft, biologically harmonious cradle, ensuring a gentle, predictable absorption without chemical shock or sensory discomfort. 57. The gentle pressure of a compression bandage assists the veins in returning blood flow, quietly easing swelling and discomfort. This therapeutic intervention operates according to simple, elegant physics, leveraging the principle that external pressure can help overcome internal resistance. Veins, unlike arteries, rely on surrounding muscle movement and the gentle efficiency of their internal valves to push deoxygenated blood back toward the heart, working quietly against the persistent pull of gravity. When circulation slows, fluid can leak into the surrounding tissues, causing swelling or edema. The soft, enveloping pressure of the bandage provides a continuous, supportive hug to the limb, gently reducing the diameter of the veins. This reduction of vessel size increases the velocity of the blood flow, making the work easier for the failing valves and encouraging the interstitial fluid to return to the lymphatic system and the circulatory system for recycling. The pressure is carefully calibrated, firm enough to assist, yet never sharp or constricting. It is a constant, steady message to the vessels: hold firm, move forward. This quiet assistance stabilizes the delicate balance of fluid dynamics within the limb, reducing the internal friction and the heavy, uncomfortable sensation that accompanies stagnation. It is a slow, sustained act of physical support that brings quiet relief, allowing the body's natural return cycle to proceed with renewed, effortless momentum, easing the discomfort molecule by molecule until the feeling of lightness is restored to the supported limb. 58. Throughout history, the quiet wisdom of grandmother healers contributed invaluable knowledge about local plants and natural remedies. Their education was one of slow observation, learned not from books, but from the deep, cyclical rhythms of the local landscape and the generational passing of knowledge through soft, whispered instruction. These practitioners understood the nuanced language of the forest floor and the meadow, recognizing the specific timing of the harvest, knowing exactly which moon phase favored the potency of a root, or which season maximized the soothing properties of a leaf. Their remedies were often preparations of patience, slow infusions, long-simmered decoctions, and poultices applied with steady, comforting hands. They recognized the quiet signature of the local flora, the gentle sedative quality of specific barks, the mild anti-inflammatory properties of common weeds, the steady antiseptic action of certain resins. This deep, localized knowledge was fundamental to health care for centuries, acting as a supportive cultural bedrock before the advent of organized, standardized medicine. Their wisdom respected the holistic relationship between the human body and the immediate ecosystem, understanding that the most effective healing often comes from materials grown slowly, sustainably, and in harmony with the patient's own familiar environment, providing remedies that resonated quietly with the very ground upon which the person walked. 55. The complex structure of antibodies allows them to quietly recognize and neutralize threats without harming the body's own gentle tissues. These Y-shaped proteins are the silent sentinels of the immune system, constantly drifting through the fluid highways of the body, searching for molecular friction. Each antibody is a masterpiece of precision engineering, possessing two identical antigen-binding sites perfectly contoured to fit a specific foreign structure, much like a lock precisely accepting its single, unique key. When an antibody encounters its target, a viral spike protein or a bacterial cell wall component, it engages in a quiet, firm embrace. This binding action is not loud destruction, but rather a soft, molecular tagging, neutralizing the threat either by preventing it from accessing host cells or by flagging it clearly for removal by larger, quieter scavenger cells. Crucially, the antibody structure is designed to exhibit strict self-tolerance, ignoring the gentle, familiar molecular patterns of the body's own cells. This quiet discrimination ensures that the protective mechanism does not turn inward, preserving the sanctity of healthy tissue while efficiently silencing the intruder. Their work is continuous and mostly unnoticed, occurring in the vast, fluid interior of the body, a constant, gentle patrol ensuring stability and peace at the cellular level, confirming that the internal environment remains balanced and undisturbed by external molecular dissonance. 60. Quiet observation of animal behavior, noticing which plants they sought when ill, often led to human medical discoveries. This field of ethnobotany studies the instinctive, silent pharmacy of the natural world, recognizing that animals possess an inherent, evolutionary understanding of therapeutic chemistry. A sick chimpanzee slowly chewing on a bitter leaf, or a pregnant deer deliberately seeking out a specific mineral-rich clay, presents a quiet biological clue. These subtle acts of self-medication, known as zoopharmacognosy, demonstrate that the active compounds within plants are universally recognized across species. Early human healers, attentive to the silent wisdom of the creatures sharing their environment, learned which plants induced vomiting to cleanse, which soothed inflammation, and which acted as quiet purgatives, simply by watching what the animals sought and avoided. This slow, patient learning established the foundational pharmacopoeia for many ancient cultures. The movement of the animal, the texture of the leaf they choose, the season of consumption, all these elements were recorded through generations of quiet watching. This continuous, shared chemical interaction between plant, animal, and human demonstrates a fundamental, quiet harmony in nature, where healing properties are embedded in the soil and the sunlight, waiting to be discovered by anyone who watches the slow, deliberate actions of the living world with a patient and receptive eye. 61. The lymphatic system acts as a quiet drainage network, gently moving excess fluid and immune cells throughout the body for cleansing. This silent network performs its necessary labor deep within the tissues, operating beneath the surface of conscious awareness, much like the slow, steady flow of groundwater that nourishes vast, unseen root systems. The lymph vessels are delicate tributaries, finer than the smallest stream on a sleepy summer map, designed not for speed, but for persistent, gentle motion. They gather the interstitial fluid, the peaceful remnants left behind after blood plasma has delivered its necessary nutrients to the distant cells. This fluid, now rich with cellular metabolites and stray molecules, must be returned to the circulatory highway, but not before a thorough, unhurried cleansing. The movement itself is an exercise in peaceful mechanics, relying not on the powerful pump of the heart, but on the gentle pressure exerted by nearby muscle contractions and the quiet changes in respiration, the diaphragm slowly pressing and releasing like a steady, soft metronome. As this pale, clear fluid moves, it passes slowly through the lymph nodes, which function as quiet sentinels, filtration stations where immune cells wait patiently. These cellular guards examine the passing stream for any unwelcome passengers, a stray bacterium, an errant fragment of cellular debris, and neutralize them with calm, deliberate efficiency. This entire process happens within a closed loop, a silent cycle of purification and return, ensuring that the volume of the body's precious internal waters remains balanced and clean, avoiding the turbulence of sudden accumulation. The work of the lymphatic system is a gentle, continuous act of biological housekeeping, securing the quiet internal environment that allows all other functions to proceed undisturbed, mirroring the slow, patient erosion and cleaning performed by rivers over geological time. The lymph flows ever onward, a slow river carrying peace through the internal landscape, assuring rest and renewal. 62. Digital stethoscopes allow practitioners to listen with increased clarity to the quiet whispers and gentle murmurs within the chest. The sounds of the internal body are often the softest poetry, quiet rustlings that speak volumes to the attentive listener. Yet these vital vibrations are easily lost to the noise of the outside world, requiring a careful, focused approach to hear them fully. A digital stethoscope functions like a gentle cosmic ear, patiently gathering these faint acoustic signals and amplifying them without distortion, separating the essential music of the heart and lungs from the static of the environment. Imagine the heart muscle contracting and relaxing in its perfect, lifelong rhythm, producing the sound of blood moving across valves, a subtle whoosh and quiet snap that repeats with absolute loyalty. The new technology allows the delicate quality of these sounds to be preserved, focusing on the nuances of flow, the slight hesitation, or the gentle eddying of blood that might indicate a mild structural variation. Similarly, the quiet ingress and egress of air into the farthest reaches of the lungs, the sound of the smallest bronchioles expanding and collapsing, becomes clearly audible, like the soft sigh of wind through the farthest pine needles. This clarity transforms the faint murmur from a vague shadow into a recognizable pattern, a gentle curve on a silent, electronic display. This improved listening capability is a quiet revolution in care, moving away from straining to hear toward a state of effortless reception. The practitioner listens deeply, not just to the volume of the sound, but to its texture and timing, allowing the natural, biological cadence of life to reveal its steady, uninterrupted pattern. The amplified whispers offer a deeper insight into the quiet, mechanical harmony required to sustain existence, reinforcing the steady, calm rhythm of the internal world. 63. Early research into fever focused on finding gentle ways to cool the body, respecting its natural defenses while avoiding overheating. Fever itself is a biological dialogue, a deliberate elevation of the internal temperature set point, orchestrated by the immune system as a defense mechanism, intending to slow the replication of unwelcome microorganisms. Early researchers understood that this natural elevation was a functional tool, not merely a symptom to be abruptly suppressed, leading them to focus on interventions that offered gentle moderation rather than aggressive reduction. Their methods mirrored the quiet processes of nature where excessive heat is naturally dispersed, such as through the slow cooling effect of evaporation or the moderation provided by shade. They employed cool, moist cloths placed upon the forehead or wrists, utilizing the physics of conduction and evaporation to draw excess heat away in small, manageable increments. They prioritized quiet rest in well-ventilated rooms where the still air could be gently moved, promoting sensible heat loss without introducing the shock of cold drafts. This historical approach respected the body's wisdom, aiming only to prevent the temperature from climbing beyond a safe threshold, a gentle guidance rather than a sudden disruption. The focus was on supporting the body's natural resilience, allowing the immune system's work to proceed undisturbed by external stress. This philosophy acknowledged the necessity of the elevated temperature for fighting infection, understanding that a sudden, forced drop in temperature could confuse the body's complex regulatory systems. It was a practice rooted in patience and observation, waiting quietly for the body's own thermostat to reset naturally, offering only gentle assistance along the way, much like a gardener carefully shading a delicate plant from the brightest midday sun. The goal was always homeostasis, achieved through soft, incremental adjustments that honored the quiet, powerful self-healing mechanisms of the biological form. 64. The quiet satisfaction of feeling better often involves a gradual return of energy, noticed not suddenly, but in slow, steady increments. The process of returning to wellness is rarely marked by a dramatic flourish or a sudden, energetic burst, but rather by the subtle, quiet accumulation of small gains, much like the slow, invisible process of solar energy gathering in a battery over the course of a mild, diffused afternoon. One does not wake up transformed, but awakens to the realization that a simple task, which yesterday required significant effort, today feels fractionally lighter. This increased capacity is first noticed in the absence of struggle, the stairs requiring a little less thought, the mind holding onto a thought for a little longer, the shoulders resting slightly lower without conscious correction. This gentle improvement is rooted in the quiet rebuilding of cellular resources, the slow repair of tissues, and the steady replenishment of the body's reserves. It is observed in the small, easy choices, choosing to walk the long way around the room, feeling comfortable reading for 10 minutes more, or simply noting the true color of the sky without feeling exhausted by the observation itself. These increments are often overlooked in the moment, revealing themselves only in retrospect, like charting the slow, quiet upward curve of a growing plant. The satisfaction derived from this slow recovery is deep and enduring precisely because it is steady and earned, reflecting the body's deep commitment to its own restoration. It speaks of a peaceful biological momentum, the quiet engine of life gently increasing its revolutions, not with speed, but with reliable persistence. This quiet return to baseline is the soft echo of health, a calming realization that the internal systems are working smoothly, steadily, and without needing urgent attention. 65. Natural mineral springs, rich in dissolved salts, were historically sought for their gentle, therapeutic effects on tired joints. The journey of the spring water begins as precipitation, descending softly upon the earth and embarking upon a long, subterranean pilgrimage, seeping slowly through layers of porous rock. During this deep and quiet passage, the water, warmed by the earth's own internal temperature, gently dissolves essential minerals, calcium, magnesium, sulfur, and sodium, capturing the earth's ancient chemistry in solution. When this enriched water finally emerges at the surface as a natural spring, it carries with it the quiet, warm memory of its deep travel. Historically, these natural baths were places of quiet pilgrimage, revered for the gentle buoyancy and subtle chemical interaction they offered to the tired or ailing body. Submerging into the mineral-rich waters provided a soothing hydrostatic pressure, gently compressing the limbs and aiding circulation without the strain of gravity. The dissolved salts interacted subtly with the skin, perhaps easing inflammation and encouraging a deep, muscle-melting relaxation. The warmth itself permeated the joints, promoting slow movement and relieving the stiffness accumulated over years of steady use. This therapeutic tradition relied entirely on the quiet, predictable cycles of geology and hydrology, trusting the slow work of the planet to prepare a soothing medium. It was a form of passive healing, requiring only stillness and patience, allowing the natural properties of the earth and water to effect their soft change. In these quiet, steamy environments, one felt connected to the deep, silent processes that shape the world, finding comfort in the knowledge that the water, warm and heavy with minerals, had traveled long and far just to offer its gentle, restorative touch. 66. The slow process of scar formation is a quiet testament to the body's ability to weave new tissue and seal off past damage. When the integrity of the skin is compromised, the body immediately begins a focused, internal repair project, a process that unfolds with slow, deliberate cellular architecture. Scarring is the visual manifestation of the body's commitment to closure, a quiet resolution enacted by legions of specialized cells. Initially, the body forms a temporary, delicate scaffold, a temporary patch designed for immediate structural stability. Then, over weeks and months, fibroblast cells begin their quiet, intensive labor, spinning and depositing collagen fibers. This collagen is not laid down haphazardly, but woven densely, creating a strong, if visually distinct, patch that seals the deeper layers from the external environment. This slow weaving requires great patience and cellular synchronization, proceeding at a pace dictated by biological necessity rather than human haste. The final appearance of the scar, its pale or slightly raised quality, is a permanent record of the repair effort, a quiet memorial to the wound and the subsequent healing. It is a surface texture that demonstrates the physics of tension and repair, showing where the body had to pull its resources together quickly. Though the new tissue may lack the elasticity or the perfect color matching of the original skin, it successfully fulfills its vital, protective function. The scar represents a completion, a transition from acute damage to stable structure, a silent reminder that complex biological systems possess an inherent, unwavering drive toward wholeness and stability, quietly sealing off the past and ensuring the smooth functionality of the present. 67. Many sleep aids are designed to gently regulate neurotransmitters, encouraging the brain to settle into a predictable, soft rhythm. The transition to sleep is a delicate process, requiring the higher cognitive functions of the brain to gently relinquish control, allowing the quieter, restorative cycles to take over. This shift is mediated by subtle changes in the chemistry of the neural network, specifically involving neurotransmitters that act as chemical messengers. Many aids focus on gently enhancing the effect of gamma-aminobutyric acid, or GABA, which functions as the brain's primary inhibitory neurotransmitter, the molecule of calm. When GABA gently binds to its receptors, it effectively puts a soft brake on the incessant electrical activity, slowing the frantic chatter of the neurons and encouraging the system to quiet down. Instead of a sudden electrical shutdown, the regulation is designed to induce a slow, smooth transition from the high-frequency waves of wakefulness, beta waves, down into the slower, more undulating patterns of deep sleep, delta and theta waves. This chemical persuasion encourages a soft synchronization, moving the brain away from the scattered intensity of waking thought and toward a predictable, harmonious rhythm suitable for rest. The goal is to encourage the brain to find its natural internal lullaby, a cadence of electrical activity that allows for restorative processes like memory consolidation and cellular repair to proceed without interruption. It is a quiet optimization of the internal environment, helping the mind drift peacefully away from the day's turbulence, guided by the gentle chemistry of repose. 68. The ancient practice of aromatherapy utilizes fragrant plant essences to quietly influence mood and physical relaxation. Aromatherapy relies upon the subtle power of volatile organic compounds, the fragrant molecules produced by plants, often extracted as concentrated essential oils. These oils, the quiet chemical essence of the botanical world, are designed by the plant for protection and communication, and when diffused into the air, they carry messages to the human nervous system. When these microscopic molecules are inhaled, they drift upward into the nasal passages, where they interact with the olfactory receptors. These receptors possess a unique and direct pathway to the limbic system of the brain, the ancient region responsible for emotion, memory, and the regulation of basic functions. This connection means that scent bypasses much of the analytical processing, offering a quiet, immediate influence on internal state. Lavender oil, for instance, carries specific molecules, such as linalool, which are thought to interact gently with certain neurotransmitter pathways, encouraging a pervasive sense of calm and a softening of mental alertness. The practice is inherently slow and passive, requiring only the gentle diffusion of the essence and the deep, regular breath of the user. It encourages a focus on the immediate sensory input, grounding the user in the present moment as the complex scent profile slowly unfolds, influencing mood with quiet, chemical grace. It is a soft interplay between the complex natural chemistry of the plant and the intricate wiring of the human brain, resulting in a pervasive, gentle lowering of physical and emotional tension, encouraging the quietude necessary for rest. 69. Modern medical records are often stored silently in secure digital clouds, offering quiet access to critical historical data when needed. The evolution of medical documentation has moved from heavy, bound volumes of paper, susceptible to the elements and the finite space of physical storage, to silent, weightless streams of data residing within secure digital architectures. These digital clouds are vast, unseen repositories, often housed in geographically distant server farms that operate with ceaseless, quiet efficiency, generating only a low, constant hum of operation. Within these secure digital environments, every moment of a patient's health history, every diagnosis, every measurement, every quiet observation, is stored as complex mathematical patterns, ready to be reconstructed instantly upon request. This passive, patient readiness is a profound comfort, knowing that the full narrative of one's health is preserved, secure from physical decay or loss. This system ensures that when critical decisions must be made, the necessary historical context can be retrieved with quiet speed, allowing practitioners to understand the long, slow arc of health events that preceded the present moment. The data rests silently, requiring no human intervention unless called upon, existing as pure potentiality, an electronic memory waiting in stillness. The security surrounding these digital archives is designed with meticulous attention to detail, layers of quiet encryption protecting the sensitive information from unauthorized access, ensuring the integrity and privacy of the silent records. It is a modern form of archival permanence, holding the quiet, detailed history of life's biological journey in a state of perpetually calm availability. 77. Quiet, careful titration allows doctors to find the minimum effective dose, ensuring gentle care with the least interference. Titration is the slow, deliberate process of fine-tuning the amount of a therapeutic substance, gradually increasing or decreasing the dosage in small, measured steps until the desired physiological effect is achieved without causing unnecessary disruption or side effects. This careful technique is an exercise in quiet patience, acknowledging that every biological system responds with its own unique timing and sensitivity. The goal is always the minimum effective dose, the smallest possible quantity of medicine required to gently nudge the body back toward balance. This approach respects the complexity of the body's homeostatic mechanisms, avoiding the shock of a sudden, large influx of external chemistry. Instead, the process involves small, incremental adjustments, followed by periods of quiet observation, allowing the body ample time to register and integrate the change before the next subtle shift is made. It is akin to slowly adjusting a sensitive instrument, turning the dial with quiet precision until the indicator rests exactly on the correct setting. By prioritizing these minor adjustments, the doctor ensures that the intervention remains gentle, supporting the body's efforts rather than overwhelming them. This methodical caution minimizes the risk of unwanted effects, ensuring that the patient experiences the most benefit with the least disturbance to their existing physiological rhythm. Titration is a testament to careful, considered medicine, favoring slowness and specificity over generalized haste, embodying a quiet dedication to individualized, gentle care. 71. The comforting sound of a kettle boiling to make herbal tea is often the start of a quiet, intentional moment of self-care and mild remedy. The sound begins as a low, almost imperceptible rumble, a deep humming that signals the molecular excitement of the water within the vessel. As the temperature rises steadily, energy is slowly transferred, causing the water molecules to gain velocity and momentum. This increasing internal vibration eventually manifests as the gentle, growing roar of the boil, culminating in the steady, rhythmic release of vapor. This steam is a visible sign of transformation, the quiet shift of liquid water into a gas, carrying latent heat upward in soft, swirling clouds. The acoustic signal of the kettle acts as a natural temporal marker, a gentle bell ringing to announce a necessary pause in the hurried pace of the day. It invites the mind to cease its active engagement with external stimuli and instead focus inward upon the warmth and the waiting ritual. The slow process of steeping the herbs follows, where the hot water gently begins its work of solvent extraction, patiently drawing out the volatile oils and beneficial compounds from the dried plant material. This infusion is itself a gentle chemistry, performed in stillness, resulting in a warm liquid meant for slow sipping, encouraging a soft descent into quietude. The very act of holding the warm mug transfers thermal energy directly to the hands, grounding the body in the immediate, pleasant sensation, providing a small, intentional haven against the complexities of the surrounding world, reinforcing the quiet dignity of simply being still. This small moment is a steady anchor in the cyclical ebb and flow of daily life, offering a restorative cycle of warmth and stillness before the world rushes back in. The vapor continues to rise, a calming atmospheric presence, symbolizing the gentle letting go of tension. 72. Throughout history, various cultures revered the quiet healing potential of mushrooms, understanding their potent biological compounds. The fungal kingdom operates largely unseen, functioning as the great silent recycler beneath the forest floor, its vast networks of mycelium spreading slowly like subterranean threads woven into the dark earth. This sprawling, hidden infrastructure patiently mediates the decomposition of ancient wood and fallen leaves, transforming complex organic matter back into the fundamental nutrients that sustain new life. When the conditions of temperature and moisture align perfectly, the fungal body produces the fruiting structure, the mushroom cap that emerges softly into the light, often overnight, a quiet, ephemeral manifestation of deep subterranean labor. Ancient healers observed this mysterious, rapid emergence, recognizing the powerful, concentrated chemistry contained within these quiet structures. They learned through slow trial and careful observation which species held the ability to modulate human biology, believing the fungi held secrets whispered from the earth itself. Many of the compounds developed within these structures were originally produced by the fungus as defensive mechanisms, complex molecules meant to ward off microscopic competition in the dark, damp environment. It is this intense, internalized chemical history that translates into therapeutic potential for humans. The quiet, slow growth cycle of the mushroom, taking its time to concentrate these active components, stands in stark contrast to the rapid processes of the living animal body, suggesting a measured, grounding influence. The reverence for these fungi reflects a deep historical understanding of nature's slow-acting, potent pharmacists, always waiting quietly in the shadows. 73. Medical illustration transforms complex anatomy into quiet, understandable drawings, guiding students with visual serenity. The discipline of anatomical drawing requires an immense patience, an ability to halt the continuous, messy flow of life and present its structures in a moment of calm stillness. The illustrator, working often in soft light, translates the three-dimensional dynamism of the human form into the two-dimensional stability of the page. They employ careful gradients of shadow and light, using graphite or ink to denote depth and texture without the distraction of movement or pain. This intentional simplification, guided by years of observation, takes the overwhelming complexity of interwoven nerves, vessels, and musculature, and organizes it into clear, legible relationships. The illustrated image provides a steady reference point, a visual anchor for the mind learning to navigate the intricate biological architecture. Unlike the fleeting glance during a physical dissection, the illustration remains fixed, allowing the gaze to drift slowly over the fine lines of a capillary network or the gentle curve of an orbital bone, absorbing knowledge with tranquil absorption. It is a quiet form of teaching, bypassing the noise of description and speaking directly through precise, aesthetic representation. The serenity of the illustration lies in its perfection. It shows the ideal, organized state of the biological machine, offering a quiet assurance that even the most complex internal systems follow an elegant, comprehensible design. This visual quietude is deeply restful for the learning mind, encouraging slow contemplation rather than hurried memorization. 74. The tiny cilia lining the airways engage in quiet, coordinated waving motions to gently move mucus and impurities out of the lungs. These microscopic structures, resembling soft, delicate hairs, cover the inner surfaces of the trachea and bronchi in vast, densely packed fields. They are not random. Rather, they operate in highly synchronized sequences, beating with a steady, rhythmic pattern known as the ciliary beat cycle. This motion is less like frantic thrashing and more like a gentle, perpetual field of wheat swaying softly in a breeze. In a precisely timed wave, each cilium bends and then swiftly recovers, transmitting its motion to the next, creating a current strong enough to slowly propel the viscous mucus layer upward. This crucial, silent escalator is constantly at work, moving dust particles, pollen, and microscopic foreign elements away from the sensitive tissues designed for gaseous exchange. The flow is slow, inevitable, and entirely automatic, a foundational biological rhythm maintaining the purity of the internal environment without conscious thought or effort. It is a continuous, quiet tide moving gently against the force of gravity, ensuring that the air reaching the deepest, most delicate parts of the lung, the alveoli, remains clean and unobstructed. The subtle energy required for this sustained, coordinated motion represents a massive collective effort. Billions of tiny cellular motors working in perfect, soundless agreement to sustain the respiration cycle, ensuring every incoming molecule of oxygen finds a clean pathway to its destination. 75. Quiet, focused listening during a patient interview often uncovers subtle yet critical details missed by rushed physical examination. True focus requires the listener to suspend their own narrative, silencing the internal dialogue of potential responses or diagnostic pathways. It is an act of gentle reception, allowing the speaker's story to unfold at its own natural, sometimes meandering pace. The quiet spaces in the conversation, the soft hesitations before a painful description, or the slight changes in vocal cadence often hold more essential information than the declarative statements themselves. These subtle, non-verbal cues are like gentle tremors beneath the surface of the earth, indicating movement that is not yet obvious above ground. When listening is rushed, the mind grasps only the loudest, most explicit facts, filtering out the quieter, analog signals that provide context and emotional depth. Empathetic listening, by contrast, creates a calm, non-judgmental atmosphere, allowing the speaker the necessary internal stillness to articulate the less defined, more subtle elements of their experience. This quiet attention mirrors the slow, patient observation required in natural science, watching a flower bloom over days, or monitoring the slow drift of stars across the night sky. The reward of this stillness is the quiet uncovering of the true pattern, the critical detail that gently guides the understanding toward a more accurate and holistic view of the individual's internal experience and physical reality. 76. The smooth, gentle surface of a pharmaceutical tablet is the result of careful pressing, holding the healing essence within a stable form. Before compression, the active components exist as a fine, chaotic powder, a mixture of molecular structures waiting to be unified. The manufacturing process uses immense, yet controlled mechanical force to bind these particles tightly together, transforming the loose, unstable dust into a dense, solid geometric shape. This process is not violent. It is a precisely calculated application of pressure, designed to maximize molecular contact and minimize internal voids. The resulting smoothness of the tablet's surface is critical, providing a protective shell that shields the sensitive molecules inside from external threats such as humidity, air, and light, guaranteeing the stability and efficacy of the compound over long periods of patient waiting. This gentle exterior also ensures ease of swallowing, allowing the tablet to pass smoothly through the pharynx without resistance. The final form, seemingly simple and inert, represents a sophisticated balance of chemistry and physics, a stable vessel waiting patiently for its introduction into the body's warm, acidic environment. The tablet holds its promise quietly, containing the potential for precise dissolution at a specified time and location within the gastrointestinal tract, ready to release its healing essence only when its journey is complete and the internal environment is ready to receive it. It is a compact, stable unit of intentional therapeutic energy, resting calmly until the body calls upon its function. 77. Herbal tinctures are made by slowly soaking plants in alcohol, quietly drawing out the valuable compounds into a concentrated liquid. This ancient process of extraction relies on the principles of solubility and diffusion, executed with patience and time. The chosen plant material, often cut and bruised to increase surface area, is submerged in a clear solvent, typically a grain alcohol or specialized ethanol solution. The alcohol acts as a gentle, efficient carrier, possessing the unique ability to dissolve both the water-soluble and the oil-soluble components found within the cell walls of the plant. Over weeks or even months, the solvent molecules slowly permeate the tissues, beginning the quiet migration of beneficial alkaloids, resins, and oils out of the botanical matter and into the surrounding liquid. This transformation occurs in stillness, usually in a cool, dark environment, protected from light and agitation, allowing the concentration gradients to slowly equalize. The liquid gradually darkens, absorbing the chemical signature of the plant, its color, its scent, its healing potential, until it becomes a rich, potent concentration. This process is unhurried, mirroring the slow biological cycles of growth and decay, respecting the time required for the deepest essence to be released. The resulting tincture is a stabilized liquid form of the plant's concentrated power, ready for precise, gentle administration, carrying the quiet history of the soaking period within every single drop. 78. The gentle vibration of low-frequency sound waves is sometimes used therapeutically to promote tissue relaxation and deep calmness. Unlike the sharp, high-pitched tones that can startle and activate stress responses, low-frequency sound, often below the threshold of conscious hearing, possesses long, slow wavelengths that penetrate deeply into biological tissue. These waves move through the body not as noise, but as a subtle mechanical push and pull, a deep, rhythmic pressure that encourages physical responsiveness at the cellular level. This quiet, internal massage stimulates microcirculation, gently widening capillary beds and encouraging the natural flow of oxygen and nutrients into areas of tension. The body responds to this predictable, non-threatening rhythm by shifting its internal state, often triggering the activation of the parasympathetic nervous system, the quiet control center for rest and recovery. The deep, grounding resonance echoes the natural low-frequency vibrations of the earth, signaling a profound sense of safety to the brain's regulatory centers. This subtle vibrational therapy encourages muscles and connective tissues to relinquish their held tension without conscious effort, dissolving knots and rigidity through sustained, gentle encouragement. It is a deeply restful experience, relying not on chemical intervention or forceful manipulation, but on the calm, repetitive energy of physics to coax the body into a state of profound, natural stillness. 79. Quiet moments spent in nature often contribute to healing by reducing stress hormones and encouraging a peaceful internal state. When the busy sensory inputs of the built environment, the sharp lights, the sudden noises, the straight lines, are replaced by the softer, fractal complexity of natural settings, the human nervous system begins to gently decelerate. The constant demand for vigilance, which sustains the flow of cortisol, the primary stress hormone, slowly diminishes. The ancient brain recognizes the sight of flowing water, the soft rustling of leaves, and the subtle scent of earth as signals of safety and resource abundance. These non-threatening, predictable patterns allow the internal defensive systems to power down, granting the parasympathetic system permission to assume dominance. As this rest and digest mechanism takes over, heart rate slows, blood pressure softens, and muscular tension begins to quietly dissolve. The mind achieves a state of soft focus, often referred to as soft fascination, allowing for cognitive restoration without the intense effort of solving complex problems. This quiet time in natural settings provides an essential biological reset, harmonizing the internal environment with the slow, steady cycles of the surrounding world. It is a foundational balm for the overstimulated spirit, proving that sometimes the most profound healing is found in simple, quiet withdrawal into the comforting rhythms of the planet itself. 80. The body's ability to clot blood is a marvel of quiet efficiency, forming a gentle mesh to prevent loss and initiate immediate repair. When the smooth continuity of a blood vessel is breached, a silent, complex cascade of events is triggered instantaneously, moving with molecular precision. Initially, platelets are activated by the sudden change in the environment, rushing to the site of injury and adhering to the exposed collagen fibers, forming a provisional, soft plug. Simultaneously, a series of enzyme transformations begins, culminating in the critical step where the soluble protein fibrinogen is chemically altered into its active, insoluble form, fibrin. This fibrin then polymerizes rapidly, weaving itself into a strong yet delicate net of interlocking strands, creating a three-dimensional mesh across the injury site. This quiet biological architecture acts as a stabilizing scaffold, trapping passing red blood cells and solidifying the initial platelet plug into a stable clot. This process is crucial not only for stopping blood loss, but also for immediately establishing a clean, secure foundation upon which the slow, methodical processes of tissue regeneration and wound healing can comfortably begin. It is an internal protective act performed with swift, silent grace, demonstrating the body's profound, instantaneous commitment to self-preservation and the restoration of systemic balance, relying on the quiet strength of molecular geometry to achieve stability. 81. Medicine is often described as both an art and a science, blending quiet compassion with rigorous, measurable evidence. The duality of this practice is a gentle mirror of the universe itself, where the absolute, unchanging laws of physics coexist with the infinitely variable expressions of life. Science provides the dependable framework, the steady rhythm of molecular interactions, the predictable orbit of celestial bodies, and the measurable concentration of chemical compounds in a solution. It is the language of gravity and thermodynamics, offering a foundation of certainty upon which understanding can be built. Yet, the practice requires the soft touch of an art, recognizing that every human being is a unique and changing landscape, influenced by quiet variables that resist rigid quantification. The art involves the subtle calibration of listening, the gentle observation of breath patterns, and the silent acknowledgement of fear or hope in a patient's eyes. It demands a quiet compassion that transcends the molecular data, offering comfort that cannot be measured in millimoles or degrees Celsius. This blending ensures that treatment is never purely mechanical, but is instead a carefully tailored response to an evolving situation. Just as a river follows the undeniable laws of descent and flow, yet carves a unique path through the landscape depending on the subtle resistance of the earth, so too does medicine follow established protocols while adapting gently to the specific, nuanced terrain of individual recovery. This quiet integration of the universal and the unique defines the gentle strength of healing, allowing for both rigorous precision and soft, necessary kindness to guide the way towards stillness and rest. 82. The hushed, uniform appearance of millions of pills in a bottle suggests the reliable consistency required for reproducible healing. Within the silent container, each tiny compressed disc or smooth capsule rests in perfect, engineered symmetry, promising the same quiet effect as its neighbor. This consistency is the foundation of trust in modern healing, mirroring the deep, predictable reliability woven into the fabric of the cosmos. Just as every hydrogen atom possesses the same steady properties, and the Earth completes its rotation with dependable precision, each unit of medication embodies the same molecular arrangement, ensuring that the biochemical message delivered to the body is consistent and trustworthy. When we look closely at the smooth surface of these forms, we are observing a triumph of quiet engineering, where active ingredients are dispersed evenly and bound gently, waiting patiently for their purpose to unfold. This reproducible stillness allows the body's complex systems to anticipate and respond without shock or variability. The uniformity suggests a steady presence, a constant factor introduced into the variable landscape of human physiology. It is the gentle echo of manufacturing precision that allows the mind to rest, knowing that the intended effect will follow the slow ingestion and gradual absorption. This visual symmetry of stacked medications is a lullaby of industrial harmony, reflecting the quiet faith in stoichiometry and molecular stability, promising a steady, non-disruptive pathway toward equilibrium and quiet, restful mending. The identical shapes remind us that sometimes absolute sameness is the most comforting truth of all, a silent promise of reliable function repeated across countless units, much like the rhythmic pulsing of a distant star. 83. Pharmacognosy is the quiet study of medicinal properties derived from natural sources, focusing on the gifts of the earth. This gentle discipline involves tracing the slow, deliberate process by which nature produces chemical complexity, transforming simple elements into therapeutic agents. It requires a patient, unhurried observation of botany, noting how a plant draws water upward against the insistent pull of gravity, utilizing the gentle power of capillary action to sustain its form. The quiet laboratory of the leaf converts sunlight into life through photosynthesis, creating intricate molecular structures that offer benefits far beyond their immediate survival. Pharmacognosy seeks to understand the slow accumulation of these secondary metabolites, the soft whispers of chemistry locked within bark, root, and flower petal. Researchers delve into the historical wisdom of traditional practices, honoring the countless generations who quietly experimented and learned which specific plants offered soothing effects or encouraged deeper sleep. The work is not rushed. It involves the careful extraction and gentle purification of compounds, often mirroring the slow pace of natural processes, such as the quiet leaching of minerals into soil over geological ages. It is a humble science, acknowledging that the earth has already performed the most complex synthesis, and the human role is merely to observe, isolate, and utilize these gifts responsibly. The continuous search for new compounds is like following a slow, meandering stream through a dense forest, knowing that quiet, powerful secrets of healing are embedded in the slow, inevitable cycles of growth, decay, and renewal that define the natural world, offering restorative stillness extracted patiently from the slow pulse of the planet. 84. Many gentle dermatological creams utilize emollients to create a soft barrier, quietly protecting the skin as it naturally mends. These calming formulations are engineered to mimic the skin's own natural lipid layer, which is constantly striving for equilibrium with the surrounding atmosphere. The emollients, often composed of steady, inert molecules like fatty acids and esters, spread smoothly across the outermost layer of the epidermis, filling in the microscopic fissures that naturally occur as skin loses moisture to the air. This action forms a quiet seal, reducing the rate of transepidermal water loss through gentle occlusion. The effect is profound yet completely unnoticeable, a soft, invisible shield that helps maintain the ideal internal climate for cell repair and hydration. Underneath this gentle barrier, the skin cells can undergo their normal cycle of division and maturation without the stress of constant desiccation. This soft protection allows the underlying biological processes to occur at their quiet, intended pace, honoring the slow timing of cellular renewal. The cream acts like a soft layer of persistent mist that settles over dry earth, insulating and nourishing. It is a quiet exercise in physical chemistry, leveraging the properties of surface tension and molecular attraction to keep essential water molecules exactly where they are needed, encouraging the slow, steady hum of the body's own restorative functions. The gentle touch of the emollient reminds the skin that it is safe, allowing its inherent strength to assert itself in a calm, protected environment, much like a seed quietly resting beneath a blanket of snow, awaiting the slow, inevitable warmth of spring to initiate its growth. 85. The historical practice of bloodletting, though largely abandoned, was rooted in the quiet belief in balancing the body's subtle humors. This ancient system, known as humoral theory, conceptualized the body as an ecosystem governed by four essential liquid components: blood, phlegm, yellow bile, and black bile. Health, in this quiet framework, was achieved when these four humors maintained a state of gentle, perfect equilibrium, much like the precise balance required for a celestial body to stay in its intended orbit. Illness was seen not as a foreign invasion, but as a disruption of this internal harmony, an excess or deficit of one of these subtle forces. The treatment of bloodletting was an attempt to gently release a perceived surplus, allowing the body to settle back into a restful symmetry. Although modern science has moved beyond this specific explanation, the underlying principle of seeking homeostasis, a quiet, steady internal balance, remains central to biology. The humoral view was a poetic attempt to map the grand, slow cycles of nature onto the human form. The hot and cold, the wet and dry, mirroring the turning of the seasons and the elemental forces of earth, air, fire, and water. The quiet trust placed in this historical practice speaks to humanity's persistent need to find symmetry and order within the complex variability of the living body. It was a slow, philosophical approach to healing, a recognition that the body is inherently striving for quiet alignment, and sometimes requires a gentle nudge to rediscover its path back to a state of quiet, effortless function, reflecting the deep, natural inclination toward restful equilibrium found throughout the universe. 86. The quiet strength of the musculoskeletal system allows for steady movement and protection, acting as a stable frame for internal organs. This internal architecture is a marvel of gentle engineering, a collection of levers and supports constantly undergoing slow, silent renewal. Bone tissue, far from being static, is constantly being remodeled by specialized cells, a slow, gentle process of breakdown and buildup that responds precisely to the subtle stresses placed upon it by gravity and daily activity. This quiet communication ensures that the skeleton remains strong enough to bear the full weight of the body while providing soft, enclosed spaces for the vulnerable systems, such as the rhythmic engine of the heart and the quiet mechanisms of the lungs. The muscles are attached through steady, fibrous tendons, providing the means for locomotion and subtle postural adjustments. When the body rests, the skeletal frame provides a dependable anchor, maintaining its steady form regardless of the external environment. It is the architectural analogy of geological stratification, where deep layers of supporting material remain steadfast and resilient over vast stretches of time. Every joint is a complex, smooth bearing, lubricated by synovial fluid that allows for friction-free motion, minimizing energy expenditure. This entire system operates beneath the surface of consciousness, a constant, quiet support structure that permits the graceful flow of life without demanding active attention. Much like the Earth's crust, silently supports the changing surface ecology, providing an unwavering foundation for all motion and rest. 87. Gentle physical therapy helps patients rediscover movement slowly, honoring the body's limits while encouraging steady flexibility. This practice is not about sudden force, but about patient repetition, asking the body to trust its own capacity for slow, incremental change. Each stretch is an invitation, a soft inquiry into the current boundaries of the muscle and connective tissue, rather than a demand for immediate compliance. The therapist guides the limb through a careful, reduced range of motion, focusing on the quality of the movement rather than the distance achieved. This quiet, measured approach minimizes the body's natural defensive responses, encouraging the muscle spindles to relax their guard slowly, like unwinding a tightly coiled spring with deliberate, gentle pressure. Recovery involves silent communication between the motor cortex and the recovering tissues, teaching the neural pathways that the movement is safe and non-threatening. The process mirrors the way water gently wears down stone over millennia, not through immediate power, but through persistent, steady interaction. Breathing becomes a central component, deep, slow inhales and exhales providing a calming rhythm that further relaxes the sympathetic nervous system, allowing the body to soften into the stretch. Physical therapy emphasizes the concept of steady progress over fast results, recognizing that deep, sustainable healing occurs at the pace of biological time, a quiet honoring of the inherent slowness required for lasting restoration, and the gentle return to a life of fluid, uninhibited motion. 88. The tradition of consuming restorative broths involves slow cooking, extracting quiet nutrients into a soothing, easily digestible liquid. Time is the silent, essential catalyst in this process, allowing gentle heat to work slowly on dense connective tissues, dissolving collagen and minerals into the simmering water. As hours pass, the internal structure of bones and fibers gradually yields its molecular composition, transforming hard, difficult-to-digest substances into readily available elements. This slow entropy results in a liquid rich in amino acids and gelatin, which offers a gentle, non-taxing source of nourishment, requiring minimal effort from the body's digestive systems. The process is a culinary reflection of geological weathering, where persistent, gentle forces break down complex structures into basic, life-giving components. The broth provides a warming comfort that is easily assimilated, supporting the quiet, constant energy requirements of healing and repair, without diverting precious resources to strenuous digestion. This soft, restorative essence settles the stomach and encourages a feeling of deep, internal warmth, much like basking in the gentle, low-angle light of the winter sun. The tradition spans cultures and millennia, rooted in the intuitive understanding that slow preparation leads to maximum nourishment, offering a quiet, steady source of strength that honors the body's need for rest and gentle internal maintenance during times of vulnerability or fatigue. 89. Ancient Roman physicians used quiet, cool cisterns to store fresh water, recognizing the importance of purity for patient health. The construction of these underground reservoirs was a deep commitment to environmental stillness, protecting the vital liquid from the warming sun and the contamination of surface activity. Inside the deep stone chambers, water settled quietly, allowing fine particulates to sink gently to the floor through the slow, dependable pull of gravity. This stillness acted as the first stage of purification, encouraging separation and clarity. The Roman system understood that water is the fundamental medium of life and health, responsible for carrying nutrients and removing waste through the body's constant circulatory flow. By ensuring its purity, they quietly supported the body's inherent ability to cleanse and renew itself. The cool, shaded environment preserved the water's quality, preventing the rapid proliferation of microorganisms, a silent defense achieved through engineering rather than aggressive chemical intervention. This historical practice demonstrates a quiet respect for the delicate balance between human intervention and natural cycles, honoring the Earth's own slow filtration system through aquifers and permeable stone. The cool, steady temperature of the cistern provided a tangible sense of dependability, a silent assurance that the source of life-giving hydration was protected and ready, fostering an environment of calm and steady maintenance essential for the slow, quiet processes of recovery. 90. The concept of palliative care focuses on the quiet comfort and gentle quality of life, rather than aggressive, exhausting treatment. It is a philosophy centered on stillness and presence, shifting the focus from the fight against disease to the gentle support of the whole person. This approach honors the natural, quiet arc of life, recognizing that sometimes the greatest healing comes from peace and freedom from suffering. Palliative care involves meticulous attention to details of physical comfort, the softness of the linens, the regulation of temperature, the management of pain with steady, gentle precision. It is an acknowledgement that the body requires rest and dignity above all else, especially when facing the final phase of its journey. Communication becomes soft and unhurried, emphasizing listening and emotional support, creating a calm atmosphere where fear and anxiety can slowly dissipate. The focus is on maximizing the gentle moments of connection and ensuring that the quiet quality of daily life remains paramount. It is a profound act of compassion that respects the body's inherent need to find peaceful resolution, much like the slow, steady descent of autumn leaves that settle softly onto the forest floor, marking the completion of a cycle. Palliative care allows for a quiet acceptance of limits, transforming the final stages of life into a period characterized by stillness, gentle dignity, and profound, unconditional comfort, supporting the inherent desire for quiet, restful closure. 91. The smallest pathways in the body carry on their essential work in a world that remains entirely soundless, a realm of constant, gentle fluid dynamics where the laws of diffusion govern every moment. These microscopic vessels, the quiet capillaries, form a vast, intricate network that stretches far beyond counting, a shimmering labyrinth woven into the very fabric of our being, ensuring that no single cell is ever left unattended in the silent landscape of the tissues. They possess walls that are only one cell thick, a marvel of biological minimalism, allowing for the easiest possible transit of life's essential molecules. It is here, in this silent stream, that the true exchange occurs, a delicate molecular ballet where oxygen, arriving fresh from the distant lungs, slips quietly across the thin membrane, moving from the higher concentration inside the vessel toward the waiting, needful cells outside. Simultaneously, the heavy, worn carbon dioxide, the byproduct of cellular work and energy expenditure, drifts inward, collected by the passing fluid for its long, slow journey back toward the great central reservoirs. This exchange is driven only by the patient mathematics of concentration gradients and the relentless, steady push of the heart's gentle rhythm, never needing a shout or a sound to enforce its purpose. The capillary bed hums with a deep, silent efficiency, ensuring that life's quiet combustion continues unimpeded, a perpetual cycle of receiving and releasing, much like the slow, steady evaporation and condensation that keeps the morning dew returning to the sleeping fields. Always balanced, always slow, always necessary. 92. The arrival of the first gentle curves of polished glass marked a profound and quiet transformation in the rhythm of human life, offering a soft restoration of the senses that had begun to dim with the passage of slow, inevitable time. Before these early lenses, the world of fine detail, the quiet landscape of the written word, and the intricate paths of needlework would slowly recede as the natural lens within the eye stiffened, leaving only the broader shapes of the distant world clearly defined. But then came the simple, calming principle of light refraction, captured by the craftsmen who understood how to grind rock crystal into surfaces that could bend the traveling light rays just so, redirecting them to focus perfectly upon the retina's waiting screen. This quiet innovation meant that the scholar could return to the pages illuminated by the gentle flicker of the candle, extending the working years deep into the soft, reflective evenings, delaying the moment when age demanded the surrender of these quiet, focused pursuits. The magnifying glass, and then the spectacle allowed for the slow, meticulous work of copying manuscripts to continue, preserving knowledge through centuries of soft, steady labor. It was a gentle gift, this restoration of near vision, allowing the eye to see the tiny threads, the smallest serif, the delicate stroke of ink, reaffirming the deep, quiet bond between the mind and the physical world, enabling a peaceful focus that transcends the rush of the external day, sinking instead into the calm necessity of attention and detail, held securely by the simple frame resting upon the nose. 93. When the muscles have quietly held the stresses of the long day, contracting and binding together in a silent posture of defense or exertion, they require a deep, respectful acknowledgement of their hard work, introduced by the slow, steady pressure of a caring touch. This is not a sudden force, but a gradual sinking into the tissue, respecting the boundary of comfort while seeking the deeper knots of accumulated tension that reside like small, hard stones beneath the surface. The technique is one of slow surrender, coaxing the muscle fibers, which are bundles of quiet contractile proteins, to lengthen and separate from their involuntary grip. As the pressure is sustained and gently moved along the length of the muscle belly, the circulation increases in that specific, focused area, flushing away the metabolic byproducts, the tiny crystalline vestiges of cellular respiration that contribute to the feeling of stagnant soreness. This slow movement encourages the fascia, the delicate connective wrapping that surrounds the muscles, to soften and become more pliant, releasing its binding hold that often restricts the fiber's natural, quiet flow. The restoration of flexibility is not an abrupt change, but a return to a resting equilibrium, a gentle state where the muscle remembers its full potential for extension and quiet relaxation. It is a dialogue conducted entirely through sensation and slow physical movement, offering the tissue a chance to reset its neurological signals, inviting the quietude back into the fibers so that they may rest deeply and be ready for the gentle, easy movements of the next peaceful morning. 94. Deep within the core of the body resides a quiet, immense chemical laboratory, the liver, an organ dedicated entirely to the silent and continuous work of maintaining the essential purity of the body's flowing rivers of life. Every drop of blood that passes through this dense, vascular structure is subjected to an exhaustive, gentle scrutiny, a comprehensive filtering and processing system operating without fanfare or immediate notice. The detoxification process unfolds in two main phases, a marvel of quiet biochemical engineering. First, the liver cells, the diligent hepatocytes, take hold of potentially harmful compounds, many of which are fat-soluble and difficult for the body to excrete, and prepare them through subtle chemical alteration. This initial step often involves the delicate addition of oxygen or reduction of bonds, transforming the compound just enough to make it more manageable for the next stage of processing. In the second phase, these newly modified molecules are paired with helper molecules, such as sulfur or amino acids, a quiet process called conjugation that renders the compounds water-soluble and entirely harmless. This transformation is crucial, allowing the now neutralized substances to dissolve easily into the bile or the urine, ready for their gentle departure from the system. The liver thus operates as the silent guardian of homeostasis, managing the constant influx of both external and internal chemicals, ensuring that the blood that returns to the heart is clean and flowing smoothly, reflecting the quiet, balanced state necessary for deep and restorative sleep. A constant, steady hum of purification beneath the surface of awareness. 95. The sense of taste is one of the body's oldest and most vigilant protective systems, designed long ago to signal immediate danger, particularly the sharp, quiet warning of bitterness, which often indicates the presence of natural toxins or spoiled substances. When essential medicines, those quiet chemical compounds designed to bring healing, must be introduced, they sometimes carry this ancient signal of bitterness, an unpleasant sensation that can naturally trigger resistance. To soothe this involuntary reaction, a gentle counter-strategy is employed through the careful selection of pleasant, familiar flavors. The soft, sweet essence of ripe cherry, the calm tang of grape, or the quiet warmth of bubblegum. These added flavors act as a kind of momentary sensory distraction, a gentle veil drawn across the harsher chemical reality beneath. The sweetness registers first upon the tongue's receptors, activating the pathways associated with safety and caloric reward, easing the initial resistance before the beneficial, yet sometimes challenging, medicine is swallowed. This small act of sensory kindness ensures cooperation, turning a potentially difficult or stressful moment into a simple, routine administration, preserving the quiet trust between the caregiver and the recipient. It is a quiet acknowledgement that the path to healing should be made as smooth and comfortable as possible, softening the experience through a simple, yet profoundly effective, modification of the immediate taste profile, helping the body to accept what it needs without the loud neurological alarm bell of bitterness ringing in protest, allowing the mind and body to remain in a state of quiet comfort. 96. When a localized area of the body is suddenly overwhelmed by minor trauma or inflammation, the simple, quiet placement of a soft compress acts as an immediate physical message of focused attention and gentle care, drawing awareness away from the panic of injury. Whether it carries the cool, receding sensation of chilled water or the warm, embracing comfort of mild heat, the compress delivers a tangible, slow-moving physical signal that interrupts the sharp, insistent pain messages traveling along the nerve pathways. The cold compress, for instance, gently slows the metabolic activity in the localized tissue, quietly constricting the small blood vessels and reducing the rush of inflammatory fluid, acting like a soft, physical brake on the body's initial overreaction to damage. Conversely, the warm compress encourages a gentle dilation of the vessels, promoting a slow, steady flow of restorative components and easing the stiffness that often accompanies muscle tightness, functioning like a quiet invitation for the area to relax its guard. Beyond these physical mechanisms, the very act of applying the soft material, the cushion against the skin, the gentle pressure, serves as a deeply calming tactile input. This quiet focus of energy communicates safety to the nervous system, allowing the muscles surrounding the injury to soften their protective tension. It is a moment of pure, non-verbal communication, a soothing presence that acknowledges the body's need for stillness and slow repair, affirming that the process of recovery has begun in a gentle, deliberate manner. Much like the slow, quiet setting of the sun marks the beginning of the Earth's long, peaceful nighttime rest. 97. Deep within the shadowed green canopy of the forest, where sunlight filters down in slow, deliberate shafts, the world of botanical chemistry operates with a quiet, continuous diligence, producing an untold library of complex molecules honed by eons of silent evolutionary pressure. Plants do not have the luxury of flight or sudden movement to defend themselves, so they have quietly mastered the art of chemical self-defense and communication, manufacturing thousands of secondary metabolites that serve as gentle deterrents to predators or as precise signals to attract pollinators. Modern research, moving with methodical slowness, continues to unlock this vast, hidden potential, carefully isolating and identifying compounds whose structures speak of immense biochemical complexity and quiet therapeutic promise. The work of ethnobotany involves listening closely to the knowledge held by communities who have lived in quiet, intimate proximity to these plants for generations, observing the gentle, yet powerful, effects of traditional preparations made from the roots, leaves, and bark. Each newly identified compound, whether it subtly alters inflammatory pathways or gently targets cellular communication, represents a small, quiet victory in understanding the complexity of life. It reminds us that healing is often found in the most humble and still places, that the answers to complex ailments may be slowly synthesized inside the unassuming leaf that has been performing its quiet photosynthesis beneath the dappled light for years. The exploration continues with patience, recognizing that nature unfolds its secrets on its own quiet timeline, demanding careful observation and slow, respectful study before yielding its deep, powerful, and gentle restorative potentials. 98. The polished surface of medical glass, silent and utterly smooth, reflects the quiet necessity of precision and control required when bridging the delicate barrier between the external world and the internal landscape of the body. The hypodermic syringe, an instrument of precise and quiet purpose, embodies this need for clean, controlled delivery, designed to bypass the body's protective systems, the slow digestion, the skin's vigilant barrier. By introducing therapeutic compounds directly into the bloodstream or muscle tissue, the glass barrel holds the medicine in a pristine, chemically inert environment, ensuring the quiet stability of the compound until the exact moment of delivery. The movement of the plunger is guided by simple, effective physics, a gentle application of pressure that translates into a slow, steady flow of liquid through the finest aperture of the needle, allowing the medication to enter the tissues with minimal disruption. The sharpness of the needle tip is a paradox of design, created to achieve the gentlest possible penetration, splitting the cellular layers rather than tearing them, thus reducing the loud neurological signal of pain. It is a moment of quiet focus, where the careful hand ensures the alignment and the speed of introduction are calibrated for comfort and efficacy. The entire process is silent, reflecting the calm, steady professionalism of the act, a momentary intrusion that swiftly transitions into the quiet, invisible work of the medicine dispersing through the body's circulatory system, starting its restorative process without delay or unnecessary commotion. A moment of perfect, glassy stillness giving way to internal biological action. 99. True wellness is not a loud or noticeable sensation. Rather, it is the quiet, continuous state of balance, a gentle equilibrium maintained by countless automatic processes within the body that operate entirely below the level of conscious thought. When one returns to the state described simply as normal, it is often marked by a serene lack of focused sensation, the absence of the dull, insistent throb of localized pain, the quiet surrender of persistent discomfort, the cessation of the need to favor one side over another. Pain, by its very nature, demands immediate, sharp attention, pulling the focus outward into a loud declaration of distress. But health requires nothing of the sort. Health is the quiet performance of homeostasis, where blood pressure remains steady, temperature stays within its narrow, perfect range, and the muscles move through their full, quiet range of motion without protest. This gentle state requires no affirmation or mental accounting. It is simply the background reality against which life is quietly lived. It is like the unnoticed presence of breathable air, essential for every moment but only truly observed when it is suddenly absent or compromised. This return to the mundane, to the quiet competence of the functional body, allows the mind to drift away from physical self-monitoring and return its gentle attention to the outer world, to the quiet pursuits of daily life, recognizing that the best state of being is often characterized by this profound, comforting lack of internal noise, a balanced field where the self simply operates with effortless, graceful, and utterly silent efficiency. 100. The deepest form of healing unfolds not in abrupt moments of dramatic change, but as a quiet, prolonged negotiation between the body's inherent, powerful capacity for self-repair and the steady, guiding hand of time. Medical care provides the necessary framework, the gentle direction, and the quiet assistance, setting the broken bone into its proper alignment, introducing the compound that inhibits the harmful intruder, or restoring the proper flow of fluids. But the actual restoration, the slow, meticulous work of cellular regeneration and tissue remodeling, is performed entirely by the body itself, operating on the long, patient timeline dictated by biological necessity. The cells divide quietly, replacing the damaged structures layer by layer, fiber by fiber, following the ancient instructions embedded within their genetic code. This process cannot be rushed by urgency or impatience. It adheres to the physics of growth and the slow, steady rhythm of turnover. Time acts as the essential solvent, allowing inflammation to subside, scar tissue to soften, and neurological pathways to slowly recalibrate and regain their quiet function. The best medical intervention recognizes this profound truth and seeks only to facilitate the body's own quiet effort, ensuring that the conditions for self-repair are optimal. It is a cooperative venture, where the professional care offers the map and the steady supplies, but the body carries out the long, silent journey of integration and repair, arriving eventually at a quiet, sturdy resolution. We simply wait, resting gently, trusting the innate, quiet wisdom that guides the slow rotation of the seasons and the constant, silent beat of the repairing heart.